Just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And next to me, as I bring her in, is my fellow co-host, Nicole Coley Weber. And tonight we're broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, KNPL, and Odyssey Radio. Remember, you can access our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SOR Newswire, get some official Spaced Out swag, plus rock out to some Bumblefoot, and so much more. We have an awesome show for you tonight. We will be talking to Brie, right? We're talking to Brie tonight?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to be talking to Brie, and we actually have a special we have a special guest, and then we have an additional special guest that'll be joining us tonight. It's a great pleasure. So we're going to go ahead and bring our guest in. So we have Brie. Welcome, Brie.
Hi, thank you. How are you?
Oh, yes, welcome. So awesome. So awesome. Yeah, we're going to be totally glad to get in some great stuff with you tonight. And because I know you're into paranormal and haunted locations, so we're going to get into a bunch of great stuff. And we have our other special guest, who is also pretty versed in paranormal and really ufology. And you look, let me stop right here and bring in our other special guest, the man, the myth, the legend,
dun, dun.
Grantavious Max.
How y'all doing today?
All
right.
We're
glad to have you.
Grant will be joining us for the entirety of tonight's show, which is mind-blowing, right, guys? I know the chat is just fired up. It's going to be a great show. What's up, Grant? How you been?
It's good seeing you, my friend. And I'm doing real good. I had a little bit of technical issues with my audio, but we're hanging in there. And I think tonight's show is going to be wonderful. And it's good to see you, Nicole. It's good to finally see you on air again as well. And Brie, good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. So Grantavious is back in the lab. I know you guys remember the Grantavious lab. So he's flipped the switch on it, reactivated the Grantavious lab. We're back in full effect. And let me go ahead and jump into chat, because we have our gold, silver, and bronze winners here. So guess who is gold? Guess who's gold, Coley? You know what gold is? Guess who's gold?
Oh, I bet it's Race Fanfo.
It is Race Fan Foe. Race Fan for the gold, as always. And then we have Susie B coming in with the silver. Appreciate you. And we have Tamothman coming in with that bronze. So let's go ahead and say what's up to everybody. Obviously, Race Fan, Susie B, Tamothman, Kurt M. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's gonna be crazy. Let's see. Oh, spaced out. So is this David Scott? Let's see. Thank you for your super chat, Laura Wynn. We appreciate you. Okay. We have, let's see, Kurt M. Let's keep going. Jack Clark, thanks for joining us tonight. Stargazer. Margaret Oliver, thank you for joining us. Haven't seen your name in the chat before. If you are new, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. We'd love to have you back. Let's see, 420 Anon, you seem to be new as well. Welcome to the program. Chillgasm, thank you for coming through. Jessica S. Thanks for coming through, Jessica, as always. Paranormal Pixie Laura, loving them toques you putting together over there. I might have to order a toque from you, Paranormal Pixie, or a beanie in America. It's a beanie in America. We have Evita NY. Thank you for coming through. Angels Are Life. Love it. Thanks for coming through. Facebook user. Good evening. Thanks for coming through. Black Dragon. Love it. Whoa. Thanks for coming. JSCO77. Thank you for coming through, JSCO77. Thank you. We have Ange. Hey, Ange. Thanks for coming through tonight on this Sunday. Fun day. Abbott Hoffman. Thanks for coming through. And Joanne. Thank you for coming through. Amy. Thanks for joining Spaced Out Radio tonight. John Hoochin. I haven't seen your name before. Thanks for coming in tonight. 405er Soul Survivor. Thanks for coming. Robert Lamoth Jr. Thank you for coming tonight. Amy, thanks for joining the show. See How We Are Living. Another new name. I'm loving that. That's actually a lovely thing. Thank you for you guys coming through. Wordless. Thank you. Forrest Louie. Appreciate you. Derek Galloway. Thanks for coming through tonight. Derek. Oh, the house is packed, man. The house is packed. Jay, thanks for coming. And Angels Are Life says, hey, Grant. We got Bim Jim, more SOR Wild. Thanks for coming. Mark Sanchez, thanks for coming. Let's see. We are almost done here. Almost caught up. I don't want to miss a soul. Richard Elmore, thank you for coming. Shelly Montgomery, thanks for stopping through tonight. Larry Meitzner, thank you for coming. Robert Anthony, another new name. I love it. Thank you for coming. Let's see. Yeah, looks like we're all caught up. Okay, great. So thank everybody for coming tonight. This is going to be an awesome show. You know, we have Brie. She is a paranormal. What would you call yourself? Go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
My name's Brie Hollingshead. I'm a paranormal investigator, and I'm known for my paranormal road tripping with Brie. I go on road trips across the Midwest, the East Coast to historically haunted locations, and go live from the locations, go live during investigations to bring everything front row and center so that my audience can get a firsthand experience.
Sounds like an awesome situation there. Definitely. So who's gonna get it started? Go ahead, Coley. I'll hand it off to you. Let's go ahead and get it started.
Well, I heard, Brie, that you said you're from the Midwest. I'm from the Midwest also. Like, I'm in Iowa, so I don't know if you're in the area, but I noticed in some of your pictures, I saw stuff that looked really familiar. So what do you think the most haunted place that you've stayed would be?
The most haunted place that I've stayed? Oh my gosh. would probably have to be the most recent location. One of the most recent locations I went to would be Mid Orange Correctional Facility out in New York. That place was insane with the shadow people, the touching. I kept getting touched while I was actually on my live. Got my hand squeezed pretty bad to where I had to drop my flashlight because I couldn't keep my hold on it. It was pretty intense.
So I have a question real quick about you being squeezed. When you're actually being physically touched by these entities or beings or whatever you want to call them, does it feel like a normal person touching you, just it's invisible, or does it actually, you still feel the pressure, correct?
Yeah, like it actually felt like somebody had grabbed. Like I looked down at my hand because I thought somebody had reached over and was grabbing my hand. Like because I had 3 people with me, but we were all spread like a. It was a long hallway, and there was I was the farthest one away. There was nobody close to me, but I thought somebody had gotten like scooched closer down to me and had reached out and grabbed my hand, and there was nobody there.
That's amazing. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
When they touch you, sometimes I've noticed like when they've gotten too close, it feels almost like a burning sensation. Do you ever get that? Like any bruises or like markings I've had seem to go away like super quickly. But you know, there are physical, it's crazy because they can, I mean, you actually physically can feel it. Definitely. That's wow.
And let me ask you this, Brie. So when you go to these locations, are these locations you go to where you've been previously made aware that there's things going on there, or do you go to places that you feel you might run into some activity? So how do you play that out? How does that work?
When I was at Mid Orange, it was actually an event that I was at that was being held. But what I do, like when I'm on my road trips, I look for, because everybody knows Trans Allegheny, everybody knows Hinsdale House, everybody knows, the Monroe Mystery. I look for the hidden gems, the places that have the myth, the legend, that you don't really know what you're going to get into, and I try to highlight those locations because I want to draw people up off their couches and get them to go to locations. And so I always say, it's up for you to decide, trying to bring people out to them. I think the hidden gems are so important to, especially with the historical significance, because what a lot of people don't realize is it's the history that can be it's not that it can be, it's the history of the land, of the property, of the people that inhabited, that leave the imprints that can cause the hauntings that are happening. So I try to go for like the smaller out of the way places, but I do go to the bigger ones too.
Do you go to how many states do you go to across? Do you actually move out of the state that you're in? Do you travel to other states? What's the furthest you've gone when you're hunting these things?
Well, I live in Ohio. I'm actually in a hotel room right now in Illinois because I just got done with a Paracon yesterday at the Haunted Rock Island YMCA in Rock Island, Illinois. But I just came off of a 2-week, 2-day road trip where I hit 12 states. So that was like my biggest trip to date. And I'm getting ready to go on a Halloween special for my audience. And I'm going to go and hit New England for Halloween.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going all the way on the east. Do you plan on going on the west side of the United States?
That is the eventual goal with my road trip, is to start moving past the Midwest and start going, I want to hit the West Coast for sure. There's so many locations out there that I would love to like go and see for myself, because you hear stories, but I feel like some places have so much hype put into them. And being an investigator, our main goal is to, I don't want to sit there and say that everything is debunkable, but I want to go and experience for myself. I want to see, is it valid? I want to be able to show my audience what it really looks like and what really is going on at those locations.
You're like an hour away from me right now. That's so sweet. I'm like, hey, after the show, like, Yeah, no, there's some great places. Have you been to the Edinburgh Manor or the Edinburgh Manor? Some people pronounce it.
I got scratched there. Yes, I met
Yeah,
this.
that's my
Yeah,
favorite. Yeah.
I love
I've
that
been there like
place.
8 times. I go there and spend the night, and every time it's like without a shadow of a doubt something happens or pounding, and I love that place. I do. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Let me ask you this, Bree, because I haven't really I've interviewed one other person that she was a ghost hunter, and there was a lot of questions about that, right? Because when you think about it, obviously Earth has been here forever, and there's been so many lives that have come and gone pretty much on every spot on this planet. There's nowhere where you could probably walk where a life has not come and gone. So, with that being said, do you find with the ability that you have, well, and maybe I'm kind of rushing to judgment there. Do you have an ability, or are you like tuned in, or are you more of you go to locations and you may or may not have an experience?
um, I'm learning that I have like the ability to pick up on things. I can go into a location and I can read the past. I can feel it. I can see it. I can sense things. What if there's something around me? I've been able to pick up on it. I don't always see things or hear things, but I always, um, I haven't gone to a location and been incorrect yet. It's something that I'm still learning. Um, I can't go to you and give you a reading. Like I can't tell you what Powerball numbers to play, but I can typically go to a location and validate certain things that have happened there. But I try to keep that to myself because I don't want to use what I might be thinking and feeling because I'm learning what I'm able to do. I want to present facts because I can
I
sit
love
here and
that.
be like, oh, well, I saw blah, 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 but that's not going to mean anything to you, you know? If I can go in and get evidence and I can validate other people's experiences, that's what matters the most to me.
Okay, and that brings me to that was the pre question. So the brings me to the question of, so knowing that pretty much anywhere on this planet life is come and gone, do you find yourself going to random locations, like maybe you go to the visit a friend, or you just happen to pass through an area where you may get some sort of feeling, or feel like a presence is there? Like, do you have those sort of experience, or have you ever had that?
Yeah, I actually stayed with a friend when I was on my road trip that I was just on. And out of curiosity, he was like, have you been able to pick up on anything? And I was like, your dad's with you. And he started crying and he was like, yeah, my dad, because he's seen his dad like he has seen the apparition of his dad. He's heard his dad talk to him. And he was like, yep. He was like, I was just curious. So I did have that happen. Does that happen in every location that I go to? Can I walk into Walmart and be like, oh, there's an Indian burial ground under here? No, I can't do that. I tend to keep myself closed off because if I don't, it can get overwhelming. I'm learning, but it's it's something that's I'm learning as I go. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
you're picking up a musical instrument and learning how to play it.
Yeah, but just clarify, but you could, you're just going about your normal business, daily business, not seeking out any sort of contact, and you may just be going on a trip somewhere, and you may just so happen to pick up on some sort of energy at
Yeah.
a place you didn't expect. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want
Yeah.
to say.
I've
Yeah.
had that happen. I've driven through, I mean, everybody knows Gettysburg Battlefield, and I was taking my kids down there. I actually had an event that I was going to in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. And for my road trip, I was actually highlighting certain portions of the battlefield and like the significance that I feel like some people don't didn't know the full story of, or like the truth has gotten twisted along the way. So I was like highlighting those locations and just driving down certain areas, like the hair on my arms would stand up. Like you could feel it, you know. Even my son that was with me, he was like, wow, did you feel that? It felt like we just like went through something. And I was like, yeah, I could totally feel that.
Wow. You guys have anything?
So when it comes to feeling the entities that you're feeling, excuse me, there's a few things that I have done in the past where I've talked about it on the show previously, and half the time I don't feel them as a like psychic type of feeling. You know how you get that I'm being watched feeling every now and then when you're kind of alone in the dark, usually, sometimes in daylight. In this particular case, it was a little bit more obvious. I don't know how to put that differently, but when it came to the entities that I've experienced and to this day have still experienced, they tend to be, I don't know how to say this. They want to be they want you to be aware of them. Is that something that you have found to be correct as well? Like they want you to know that they're there?
I do believe in certain locations that is true. Last weekend on my way home from MadCon at Madison Seminary
Mm-hmm.
in Ohio, I actually stopped at Molly Stark Sanatorium, which is now a public park.
Mm-hmm.
And I was standing in front of one of the buildings, and my son happened to be there. And you could, from what he said, he could hear like the running of the feet. Like he could hear something run up on him. Now, there was nothing around him. He was out in the open. I even took pictures of like the area where he was standing.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that some spirits want to be known. You know, I think certain properties have been neglected, and the they've been boarded up, they've been shut down. And I think that some spirits, they go back to, you know, where they were last, you know, like where their last home was, where the last place was that they felt love, where they felt like maybe they were being taken care of, or that's just the last place they remember. And I feel that spirits can feel like they've been ignored, that they've been forgotten, and they want that, not the recognition, but they want somebody to say, hey, I love you, I see
Mm-hmm.
you, you're not forgotten, you are important, you didn't die in vain, you know.
So
So I do believe that happens.
I believe that as well. I'm gonna concur with that. I do believe they have the ability to travel with you. They can attach
Mhm.
themselves to somebody or something, whether it be an artifact or an actual person, a being. In my case, it was my grandparents, and then they followed me to the house that I'm currently in. When it comes to the sanatorium that you're talking about, that's in Ohio,
Yep.
and yep, and it's because I used to live in Loveland. I don't know if you know
Oh,
where that's
okay.
at. Yeah. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's for anybody that doesn't know that wants to check this out. If you look it up, I mean, it's covered in a lot of plants,
Yeah.
shrubs and vines and stuff, but really cool place. Some place that I have not taken the opportunity to sit at and try to feel anything by beyond all means. But did you actually get a chance to sit there all night, or did you just visit the area?
It was just something that I did as a location stop.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio had 25 tuberculosis hospitals, and that hospital was actually opened in 1929,
Mm-hmm.
closed in 1996. And considering the fact that the property sold for $1 because nobody knew what to do with it, the parks bought it for $1 to turn it into a park system.
I didn't know that.
I, there's so much history to it. Like, it's actually like the name Molly Stark actually goes back to a general from the Revolutionary War who took care of sick soldiers and wounded soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to highlight that location because I felt like it is an odd little hidden gem in the state of Ohio that needs to be preserved. I felt like it needs attention brought to it. I actually, when I go live, I use StreamYard myself.
Right.
So all my videos go over to my YouTube channel, and there's actually like a good 40, between like a 30-minute to like a 45-minute video that I did on Molly Stark.
That's cool. For anybody that wants to go there, just go to Louisville. It's in Louisville, Ohio, and you can see it there. Just look it up. You'll see it. All you got to hit is Molly Stark, and you'll find it real quick. So
Oh yeah.
that's killer. I'm glad you went there. I never went there to do any kind of investigative work at all. I was just on my way through, actually on a date that day, but we won't talk about that now.
And just so for the audience out there, I see you guys asking questions, so I see those, and I'm actually putting those aside for Bree for hour two. If you guys could go ahead and put those questions in caps, so it's just a little easier for me to see. Then we'll make sure that we ask Bree those questions in hour two. So yeah, I guess I want to throw over to you, Coley. Have you had any sort of? I know you have like a conscious connection with the world out there. So have you had anything like this paranormal or?
Yeah, well, I see things different. Like I grew up seeing spirits, so from as far back as I can remember, like I saw them. So when Grant asked her about like the intensity about them coming, it got so bad. Like in the beginning, especially when I was probably like maybe around 13, I'd say, or like 14. It started when I was a kid, like auras and just little like seeds of light, and then it progresses and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So when I got to the point, I was probably like 13 or 14, it was so intrusive that like they were coming and demanding, like giving me phone numbers. They wanted me to go get their family, and it wouldn't stop. I remember I was working in a fireworks stand. It was like 16, 17 years old, and I'm standing there, and there's a guy, and he doesn't realize, and he's looking for his daughter, and he's like back 100 years. And I'm like, I can't really communicate because there's somebody here in the store. And he was so adamant. All of a sudden, you hear this bang, bang. And I had a big grin on my face. And the lady's just looking like, what the heck is going on? But that's how aggressive they would get. So then I slowly, I mentored under, there was a group here, a local group, and then somebody who actually I mentored under to learn how the ability to shut it off, because I'd be in school or I'd be in places and I'm like, this is crazy. It's like they would not, I mean, one after another after another. So to me, and Grant's right, they do. You have to be careful because they can attach themselves and they will come with you. If they emotionally hit something with you and they carry you, like I had one, I was talking about it a little bit last night, and it would come up and like bare its teeth at me. And then it's sitting there and I'm telling my aunt's right there. And I'm like, it's coming now, but I don't get afraid. It doesn't scare me, It's more of like, how do I get this off of me? It's like it attached to me for whatever reason. And I told it to leave and it didn't leave. I tried all this stuff myself. And I finally had to go. One of the professors here at the local colleges, he kind of studies it. So he helped me to rid of it. But that was really the only one I learned after that, like really how you have to take like control of it. I'm always in control. When I go in there, from the moment I walk in that door to the moment I walk out the door, I never once relinquish control. I am always in control of what's going on in that situation. So it's a game. I think I like it. I call it the parlor. I've done a lot of flash photography. I was going to ask Brie about that. If you have done any, or what equipment, I have a ton of equipment. Like I've invested thousands. I don't even want to even talk about how much, but just kind of some of your equipment that you take with you. That's your favorite, like that you found.
Real quick, you talking about growing up with it. I did as well. And so like I can completely relate to that. Like, when you're seeing people and you're not really understanding, like I totally understand that what you went through. So
Oh yeah, and they're not like you and I mean, it's like,
yeah,
I always say like not a cloud, like a smoke. You could throw a shoe through them. Like it's not like, like I've not seen one that solid that it's actually, so it's kind of like that partial screen. But I'm
yeah.
not sure what your experiences have been with that.
Yeah,
So
I actually saw when I was 6, I saw what I thought was my mom, and when she turned her face, I realized I could see through her face. And I just rolled over, pulled the cover over my head, and went to bed. Told my mom about it the next day, and she pulled out a picture of my great grandma. So that's how it started for me.
Wow.
I've identified family members too. Mine goes back to a great aunt, great great aunt in Ireland, and I guess she had the ability and was able to save my family from the potato famine and got them over there. So it jumps like 2 generations. So I was the one to get it next, and I've had several encounters with her, and it used to freak my parents out. Oh my god, my mom was like ready to take me to the priest. Like she didn't understand, like it would, because I would know things and I would tell them things and I'd be like, here. And so then I started, instead of directly, so I didn't freak them out so bad, I would write like these little, passages about this lady who could, see the ghost who was saying, or spirit or family member, whoever it happened to be. But it's really strange because I know how to quickly shift into it and shift out. It's like, you're almost looking through someone, and then I can shift in and I can shift out of it really quick and easy. But yeah, awesome. That's really cool. That's so you growing up, you kind of experienced seeing spirits as well. Then
Yeah.
How did you learn to control that?
I ended up going through some traumatic events and like subconsciously like walled myself off. And so that's why like it's coming back to me now and I'm like learning. I'm having to learn now, like I remember certain things and I've always been able to sense things, but it's now that I'm coming out of the trauma, like actually going into the paranormal is what has helped me find myself and overcome the trauma that I've gone through in my life. A lot of people say going through trauma can cause you to have special abilities, but it can also cause you to shut yourself off because your body's your best defense, like it knows what to do to protect itself. And when you go through certain types of trauma, your body will go to great lengths to protect the brain. The brain will do whatever it has to protect itself sometimes, and that's why like you'll have like assault victims where they're like, I don't know, I can't tell you. And it's because it's like it's gone black, the brain has just completely blocked that out so they don't have to relive that trauma. But I believe like when you come out of traumatic experiences and you start healing and those walls start coming down, if you've had certain types of abilities, like stronger abilities, like those come back stronger, like but you got to like relearn how to use them. You got to figure out what you're doing with them. And that's kind of where I'm at right now with it. But like, I would see people, I would say up until, my late teens, early 20s, I would see people, I would hear conversations. I would be able to walk into a room and I would know exactly how many people I could see, but not everybody else could see. Like we would go to Gettysburg for a family vacation and I would see soldiers walking across the field that nobody else could see. Like we'd be in a bookstore and somebody would walk in a hoop skirt, and I would ask my mom, oh, are they doing a reenactment? My mom would turn around and she'd be like, there's nobody there. But my mom had special abilities too. So she would know, like, I would always just go to my mom, like, do you see this too? Or, and she would kind of validate for me, like, no, that's not real. Or yes, that is real. So my mom kind of helped guided me with it when I was younger.
And did you have something, Grant? I think I saw you, or were you waving to the crowd?
Oh no, I had something, but it's long since passed and been answered, so we're good.
Okay, good. Okay, I had something actually, and this kind of, before I forget to ask this, when it comes to paranormal, okay, so you are sensing someone who has passed on. So where is the line drawn, or are you even able to determine where that line is when it comes to I guess a spirit who has just passed on, or maybe some sort of like evil sort of presence? Like, are you able to differentiate between the two? And is it something that you get the same feeling, regardless of which one it might be?
I think that there's more, how do I say this? Okay. The best way I can describe it is, if you got somebody that's an asshole in real life, a complete jerk, and they pass away, and their spirit doesn't cross over or go to the next plane, however you want to personally view that, and they decide to stay, or they go back to like what they knew as their home or their favorite place, and they pick on you, their disposition's not going to change. I believe that some
I've heard
things
that.
just
Yeah.
just stay the same. So it and some spirits, I believe too, um can be so frustrated over the disrespect that maybe they've gone through with like people coming in and treating them like circus animals, like, can you do this, can you, getting asked the same question, or their place that is their home being vandalized, like these abandoned hospitals like Molly Stark. If you go there, it's been trashed. They've got security fences around it to try to keep people out, but people are still cutting through the fence and getting in. I feel that you'll have spirits that will portray themselves to be evil entities, as some people, as you would probably say, to defend the area, to try to scare people, to keep them out. um with me, it's I can tell, I can feel, like I've been in a location where something was there, and I knew that it wasn't a human spirit. I knew that it wasn't of the land. I couldn't, I had to be around it a little bit longer to be able to put my finger on exactly what it was. And it was like right up on me. It kept getting on me. And I had to keep setting my boundaries and telling it, you can't attach to me. You got to step back. You got to respect my space. Coming from a Christian background, I started praying. And another um somebody that was with me actually called upon a friend, and when they called upon their friend who had just passed away, you literally saw a white mist manifest. And I was sitting in, it was actually a school I was at, and the white mist came down the aisle because I was sitting in an old school desk, and it stopped like right next to me, like it was protecting me from the other entity. So I can feel, I have been able to sense the difference. Do I think that everything out there is necessarily evil? No, that's such a touchy, it's such a weird subject to talk about. It's something that you could sit here and talk about for hours, in all honesty, because there's so many layers to that.
So let me ask you a question real quick, and I'm sorry to butt in, but
Oh no, you're fine.
there was a time where my great grandfather, he died in, I don't even know what, 99, 2000, I think 99, and 92 years old. So me and my at that time girlfriend had moved into this home that he died in, and he passed away peacefully, for anybody that wants to know. But we would hear him walk up and down the hallway, whether we were together, alone, separate. She would hear it, I would hear it. Never communicated with either of us. In fact, every type of entity I've ever had when it comes to ghosts, like when I hear them there, I don't ever communicate with them. They just do things in my presence. So in this particular scenario, not only did I hear it or my girlfriend hear it, but we had a company stay over one night, and the gal, which was my girlfriend's, one of her good friends, had stayed the night. She was in the restroom at like 2 in the morning and heard my grandfather walking up and down. And now I'm saying my grandfather because he stayed in two parts of this home. One was the den and one was the bedroom, the master bedroom. Now, my great grandparents were the type of people that slept in different rooms. So, in this particular case, we heard him. I would suspect it was him. And also this other girl who we didn't even tell had heard him. Have you had encounters like that where they don't actually try to convey anything? They just make themselves present, just kind of like a pedestrian wandering that's not really paying attention to you at all. It's just there and present. Has that occurred to you at all?
Yeah, and like that would be, there's two different things that could be.
Hmm.
The first is, if you've watched Ghost Hunters, any ghost show, you've heard that referred to as a residual haunting. Oh, you got to understand that we've got energy, and so wherever we go, we're leaving an imprint of ourselves. And if your grandfather had a specific habit of getting up at a certain time, going to a specific room, you know, if he was wearing his slippers, you're going to hear the sound of what his slippers sounded like walking from the bedroom to the bathroom and then back again at the same time, because that was his habit, that was his ritual, and that's that imprint that he left over how many times of him doing that night after night after night. So you're going to have that residual haunting. You're also going to have spirits that are just kind of like, they're going to be doing things around you because they might not know that they've passed on. They're still doing their daily ritual, so to speak, of okay, I'm walking to the laundry room, and you just might hear those footsteps go into the laundry room because it's the day that they would have done laundry, you know, and you might not hear anything else, but it's like you're just going to catch little things of it, and they might not even be aware that you're there because they're still living out what they think is their life that they're living. But 9 times out of 10, from what I've seen, stuff like that will always point back to a residual haunting.
So I can see that. I understand what you're saying, and a residual haunting, but I mean, having them live out something that they've done over and over again, that's kind of a sad existence to me. It's like, oh my gosh, you've done this so much in your life that you're going to repeat this in the afterlife, which is that hurts my heart because honestly, he was a good man. I will tell you one thing. We actually decided to kind of remodel the room, so to speak. Like we didn't paint walls or anything. We just moved the room around, and
Yeah.
because he kept coming in. Now my great grandfather was really into metal detecting, and he had, in fact, we found that he was very interested in gold and all that, and I got a lot of it here actually, but because we thought, it's one of those human things where you're like going to overlay what we think and how we feel onto something that we don't understand. We ended up finding, which is really interesting, a whole bunch of, what is that stuff you take for, come on, think about it. You put it in water, you stir it up, and you drink it. What's that?
Alka-Seltzer.
No, not Alka-Seltzer. No, it's good for your intestines.
Oh, the Metamucil.
Metamucil. Thank you. So there were bottles. There was bottles, and we didn't know because we kept wondering, like, why in the world does he keep coming in here? And he was a money-driven man in real life. So, and he kept stopping by this dresser, which was on the left. I slept on that side. Bear in mind, it was his room. We just kind of occupied it afterwards. Anyways, we ended up finding these Metamucil bottles, these big white bottles with the green label and everything, and they were full of change. I couldn't believe it. So he led us, this ghost, to the change.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of it, Grant? Can I ask you a question? This sounds a little odd. Sorry. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My child just came out asking for water, so I had to mute.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. No, you know what? And now I completely forgot. I was going to ask you. Okay, so you're talking about your grandfather and the residual, like his imprint maybe coming through or walking through. But sometimes maybe he's your he thinks he's protecting you. Like he's there, like, sometimes we keep them there, like our connection with them. And, a lot of times, like things that are going on in our lives, like, especially if, you might find at certain times you pull them in closer than others. Like that to me sounds like might be soothing to him. Can you imagine how hard it would be to stand on the other side of that veil and watch us? I mean, and try and communicate, and it takes all of this energy, and they finally get like 3 things over, and they're like, it has to be like an element of it. So I think that's like absolutely awesome that to me sounds like he's trying to still care for you, that he was like a real big part of your life, like as a caretaker. So I think that's awesome.
He was kind of a jokester. I mean, he was 92 when he died, and he was kind of a quiet dude. Actually, he didn't talk to my grandma or my great grandma, his wife. That he was just kind of that one guy that just didn't really get along with people, or he did, but very kept things close to the chest. So when I found this money, he was actually very money driven, and I was like, dude, and I'm not kidding you, and anybody can look this up. His name was Dude Schaefer. So like,
dude, yeah.
I crap you not. I'd love to say the real word, but his first name was Dude. Legit.
Yeah, I love it.
Wow.
And he was just a legit guy, like old school, worked in steel, and oh yeah, he had his like he was a general contractor most of his life. And I find this money. I ended up moving, and that was it. He was gone that quick. So he may have just said, "Hey, just real quick." I was the only one he took metal detecting with, and that's the reason why I have all the metal detecting stuff that I do now. Is because he's the one that got me interested in it. So I think maybe when he passed and he knew I was there, I think you're right, where there's like a residual, like, hey, I just want to kind of do this for you real quick. And I still have a lot of the gold and the silver that he had found. And I think he was just like, hey, here it is. You got to find it. And it all happened to be under this dresser that nobody knew was there. So it was pretty amazing.
Wow.
It could have been that he was worried about it also.
Let me ask you this, Brie, because this has me thinking, and because everyone has to pass at some point in time, and so okay, I pass on. I'm not on wood. I pass on. I'm locked into some location, right? For however that happens, I don't want to stay locked there, right? So, what is there even a way to free that spirit from that location, to allow that spirit to go on to where it should be? Like, is there a process, or is this just something no one knows the answer to? If you wouldn't mind answering that.
I believe personally that spirits can travel. I've was witness to, and I'm gonna butcher the name of this. I always do, so forgive me ahead of time for it. The Estes method, done at 3 separate locations in 3 different states, and it was as if the spirits knew each other and were communicating with each other. I don't believe that spirits are always locked into a location. I believe that they do travel. I do think that they can sometimes be held back, because then that's where you've got your negative. That could be like the one location that I was telling you about where I dealt with. I did encounter the negative entity. It was something that was conjured into the location, and with it being a school, there were children's spirits. And I actually, when I was walking towards the area where this being had been conjured, like the kids, I could literally, like I said earlier, like I've been touched. I could literally feel them holding my hands, and I could feel the little fingers on my arms, like they were walking with me. When I got to the doorway of the hallway, they let go. And you could hear the footsteps of them running away from the hallway, like they were terrified. And I believe that you can have bad things that are brought into areas that can cause harm and can cause spirits to not be able to be able to leave if they wanted to, to not be able to pass on if they wanted to pass on. I think that that's something that will always, as investigators, as with me, I have a very analytical thought process. I'm not one to always just jump straight to a conclusion. Like some people are like, "Oh, I got scratched. It's a demon." No, let's think about it. Like I always want to think through. I don't always, and I think that's what makes me a good investigator, is because I don't always jump to the automatic conclusion that everybody would typically jump to. I want to think through it. I want to make sure that I've got the right conclusion to it because I don't want to lead somebody astray. So, like with a question like this, it's something that I'm still trying to figure out myself. Like I said, I come from a Christian background, and I would like to think that there is a better place, that we're not just stuck here in death. I think that sometimes spirits can choose not to move forward because maybe they've got unfinished business. I feel
Okay.
that sometimes spirits can choose not to move forward because they're scared to leave what made them happy. Like the children out of school. A lot of people are like, why are children stuck in an area? But what if that's where their best memories were? What if that was where they felt love because they didn't feel love at home? And that's where their community was. That's where their teacher loved on them because they didn't have a loving mom at home. And there's so many things that I think lead to spirits being in locations. Again, you might have people that might not realize that they're dead, and so they're reliving what they thought they had. It's such a bunny trail conversation. There's so many holes you can go down
Yeah.
into, but I don't think that we will ever know the answer to that. I would like to think that there is a better place, and that if we do stay behind, if we're able to choose to stay behind, it's because we're going to somewhere, where we have those fond memories, where we felt love, where we were happy, you know. It's such a catch-22 question, you almost feel like
Yeah.
you're
No, no,
dying
no.
if you do, you
Hey,
darned if you don't,
and that's why I'm asking them. I
No, I
want those
love it.
ones
I
that
love it.
open you up. Exactly.
I love
Um,
it. I love it. Make me think. I love it.
and Coley, because we're gonna be 8 minutes going to break. Did you have something real quick? Because I one thing I want to ask her right before the break. So if you have something, go ahead and run it.
I'm just listening. It's definitely really fascinating. I'm just wondering. I use some of the equipment that I've used. You
Oh
can
yeah,
get back and forth. Yeah, so
yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to ask you. I have one of the portals by Steve Huff. I don't know if you've seen the Portal Wonder boxes, but I have like the ones like, and you can actually get like full sentences, and they'll go back and forth and back, and you can like get them. And I have so much like recordings of just different things like song, and they'll start singing, and there's the program, the ITC program is running through backwards, and just picking out little things, but it's pretty cool. I love it. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite pieces. So I'm just kind of wondering what your go-to, like, I used to always have a piece in my purse, like a ghost hunting, like whether it be like an EVP or like an EMP or something in
Yeah.
there. So I'm just curious what you go in there with.
I have a little white, it's a ghost backpack. If you go on my Facebook or you watch any of my lives, you'll see I call it my boo bag. It's literally a ghost backpack purse that I wear slung over one shoulder, and it's got my K2 in it. It's got my extra battery packs. It's got my light up cat balls. It's got my Chattergeist in there. I love my Chattergeist. It's probably my favorite piece of equipment. It's got seven different tools in one. It's got your dictionary, it's got phonetics, it's got a Ouija board, it's got an 8 ball, it's got a drawing pad. There's a couple other things on there, but every time I have pulled that out and I've used the dictionary mode. Now, the dictionary, what makes this better, in my opinion, than other devices that are comparable, say like an Ovilus. An Ovilus has at max 5,000 word capacity. The Chattergeist has 17,500 word capacity.
Okay.
They're they're new to the market. I love it, but I was at Palmyra Historical Society in Palmyra, New York, and the original building that was there actually was burnt to the ground, and a mother and her 6 children were killed in that house fire. Only, from what I understand, only 2 bodies of the children were found, and we happened to be in the building that was next door, the dry goods store, and I happened to be on the second floor, and I'm talking about when the original building burnt down, and the Chattergeist is coming across with intelligent responses to what I was talking about. It was like bodies, children, ashes, fire. I mean, it was very intelligent. It was right on point. I don't think my chattergeist has ever really been incorrect. It's quite an interesting piece of equipment. It's my favorite. It's my baby. I take that thing everywhere. I make sure my battery packs are always charged for it.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, I know my portal. It's a speaker, like a junior. I can't remember what they make it out of, but they actually coil inside of it copper, and there's certain crystals, and then they have like
Yeah.
a reverb. Like it's like you go everywhere with this little lunchbox speaker. I'm like, yeah, I got that. I got my K2 meter. That's another good one. But I'm gonna have to check that out. That's pretty cool. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, if you have any questions about it, you can let me know. I'm actually and I can't remember the technical name, but I work in conjunction with them with helping to get their stuff. Not really spokesperson, but starts with an A. I'm going on like 6 hours of sleep for this whole past
Oh,
weekend, so my
girl, that's
brain's
all
kind of
right.
like
No
that's a
worries.
ten
No
dollar word,
worries.
and I can't think of it right now.
I'm there too sometimes. I'm like, oh, it's like right there. No,
But yeah,
yeah,
I
no.
can
I
send you the
totally understand.
information if you want on that for you. So
Please do.
And
And
I
then I have
have
to ask, can I
no,
ask
go
real
ahead,
quick,
Coley.
if you're coming through the Midwest, I mean, like, we should plan a night. I seriously, I love to go up to the Edinburgh Manor or somewhere. Since you're so close, we definitely should go on a ghost hunt. I'd love to do that. So let me
yeah,
know
we
if you're
can.
ever in the area.
Yeah, definitely. This isn't that bad of a drive from where I'm at in Ohio. I always have a ghost in hand when I'm traveling. I always drink the ghost drink. So my running joke is I have ghost will travel. So no pun intended.
That
I'm
is
sorry.
awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna hit you with this one, Brie. I'm gonna hit you with this one. So this is a two-part thing, and we can kind of carry this into hour number two because we'll be going to break. Uh, First part is when I talked to the other person that I've interviewed that was a ghost hunter, I asked her if feelings like how you might be somewhere and you get a feeling like somebody's looking at me, but you turn, no one's there,
Yeah.
right? Like, is it possible that you're detecting in that moment something that could be in this other realm? That's
Yeah.
part one.
Yes. I will always. I will say this to the day I die. Your best piece of investigative equipment is your body. Your senses are going to pick up on things before equipment will. Before you can get that power button turned on, before you can get the password decided upon if you're using a necrophonic app, before you can get things set up and strewn across a room with trip lights. Your body's going to tell you first off, just like if you're having an issue with a friend and you get that feeling in your stomach, you just
Mhm.
know something's off. Your intuition's going to kick in. Your body picks up on the other energies that are around you. The hair on your arms is going to stand up. You're going to feel the eyes staring you down. Your body is your best. I don't like, I mean, some people, I've been criticized for saying weapon, but it's your best weapon when it comes to detecting anything
Yeah,
in life.
it's
Whether that's
literally
you're
what it
walking.
is.
Yeah, if you're walking down a dark alley at night and you feel like somebody's behind you, what are you going to do? You're going to take off running because you
Right,
feel that, and that most likely saved you from what, a mugger behind you, and
right.
you find out later that they got somebody else. It's the same thing with investigating. You're going to feel it, you're going to sense it, you're going to know it. That it's that fear
And it's
factor that kicks in. Your body goes into overdrive.
okay, so and I'm big on senses and gut feelings and that go with your gut sort of. I'm big, real big on that. I totally
Yeah.
believe that our senses are there for a reason, more than just what we understand them to be: touching, smelling, seeing. They go beyond that. But then part two of the question, then, and we could take this on the other side of the hour, is um that other realm, right? So the realm that these spirits reside in or caught in, are there other things in that realm as well? Like, is this a realm full of spirits and then these things and these things? And I guess we'll get into that as we pause for the break. Or we'll be right back with Brie here, and when she hopefully answers that question I just asked, plus more in hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio. So we'll be right back with Brie and Grant Tavius and Nicole Coley Weber in a minute.
Yes, I absolutely
All
love that
right.
music. Holy
Yeah,
smokes, dude! It has been so long.
dude. And I look, Grant Tavius was headbanging in the back, dog, straight up.
That
But
was
welcome back to Spaced Out Radio After Hour number 2 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, and the amazing Nicole Coley Weber, as we continue with our special guests here, Brie and Grantavious Max, who was just head banging in the back for the last at least minute and a half of that commercial break.
that was
And
awesome.
to all the space travelers out there, real quick before we jump into that, you guys are already space travelers. You know that. Consider taking the next step and join the club. That's right. You can join the SOR Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 by joining our Patreon. Get some official swag at spacedoutradio.com. Go ahead, guys.
I'm going to tell you right now, guys. Thank you for joining us back after that short commercial break of the awesome music that we had. I absolutely love that. The drop just gets me. And yes, you're right. Gee, I literally headbanged. I was feeling it. I love it, dude. I love it. Oh, this is amazing. So Brie,
Get your blood pumping.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Just blood, my blood pumps for everybody that's a part of the show. G, you rock it. Nicole, you're rocking. Brie, you guys rock. So thank you for having me, by the way.
We're
And
glad you came.
thank you. And, well, I mean, it's because of you guys that I can just step in here just for a few minutes and say hi to everybody and be a part of the show. And I miss everybody here. And you guys are doing a fantastic job. I've already talked to G earlier today, and I'm going to tell you right now, you guys are rocking it. This is amazing. Brie, thank you so much for coming on the show. I do have a couple of other questions for you so we can get this party started for round 2 after the commercial break. Brie, as you know, Grant is all jacked up. Mike Bothwell, thank you so much, my friend. So, Brie, I do have a question. When you come to, or are you willing to come to the West Coast to search some sites that I can guide you to? Are you willing to do that?
Yeah, I'm totally down for coming out to the West Coast. That would definitely, that's a bucket list. Just being able to get out there and go explore, because there's so many great places out there, and there's places now that the stigmas are being lifted more so in certain areas. There's more places that are popping up that deserve to be looked at correctly.
I'm glad you actually said that about the stigma, because when it comes to entities and ghosts and all the things that go bump in the night, which is what we're talking about currently, there are places on the West Coast. In fact, I live in, as most people know, Klamath Falls, Oregon. In Klamath Falls, there's a place called Hagglesteen Park. I'm sure you've heard of this. And Hagglesteen Park is one of the, it's actually on the top 10 most haunted parks, I guess, areas in Oregon. And it's a super cool place. I live about 20 minutes away from it. So if you're ever down in, or I guess, wait, you'd be straight across from me right now in Oregon, because I used to live in Loveland, Ohio, which is just 20 miles northeast of Cincinnati. So you're directly across from me. But if you're ever in this area, let me know. Hit me up. I am more than willing to take you out there at any time of night. I have, I don't know. I got a couple square feet. I can like set up a small pillow for you to lay on for the night. It's no big deal.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's only 3,000 square feet, so I mean, I might find just maybe a pillow for you. I don't know. But if you're willing to come out here, like you've watched the shows, you were just talking about ghost hunters earlier.
Yeah.
So when it comes to ghost hunters, and this is the question I said in our private chat that I want to ask you, which is when you had kind of skimmed past that. So on ghost hunters, and this is a legit show that was on what channel was that on?
I think it was on Sci-Fi. It started on Sci-Fi, I want to say, and then like it transferred over. I know it's like on Travel Channel now. Like if you go to Discovery Plus, you can stream it from there.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this: when you watch that show, so I have dealt with everything from legit meetings with Brie and Bigfoot, and I've had my own experience with ghosts. When you watch that show and you see, excuse me, some of the things that have happened on there, what's the gut feeling that you have? And this is just a personal. I'm not trying to.
Yeah. Oh no, you're fine.
But they are trying to get views. They're trying, they're obviously on there to make money. I mean, the more views, the more money you make. I mean, that's just logistics. But do you think that they found something at least once in any of those shows that actually you were like, did it? That's real?
There's been a few where I was like, okay, that's legit. Where with like the EVPs, EVPs are, I think, are pretty solid evidence, depending on how they're done. When a more recent episode, when they were in Joliet and they had what was formerly known as Destination Fear, now it's known as Project Fear with them. I felt like they did find some pretty solid evidence that seemed to be legitimate to me. There's been other shows that I have watched where I'm just like, I can't do this because it just puts that bad taste in your mouth, that you get that twist in your stomach where you're just like, this doesn't sit right with me. And that's one of the reasons why I want to go to a lot of the locations that I go to. Like, even, I love the little ones, but like, there's certain houses, there's certain places I want to go to because you get such varying experiences that come out of them that they're not always the same. And I know we're all going to have different experiences. I know that I might experience something completely different from you and completely different from, the guy down the street from me. But I would expect there to be a level of similarity with certain locations. And when you don't have that level of similarity with it raises questions to me of what is the validity of the evidence that's being found and how is it being found. And so I want to go to those places myself, in all honesty, so that way I can experience it firsthand.
I'll tell you what, I'll fly you out here. I'll fly you out here just so you can come check this out with me, because it's just creepy to me. Like, there's places they're creepy, but then there's places that are legit. There's something else there with you. You know the difference, right? What I'm talking about?
Brie, yeah. Can't go without me.
My sister says I can't go without her.
I heard that.
Two plane tickets. Two plane tickets.
I'm ready to go. We're sold. Done. The world will come.
Rob, you want to go?
She broke the fourth wall.
First class is great. Yeah.
Random guy. If you text me right now, I will give you my address. If for anybody that hasn't watched this show, it's pretty easy to go back in in the history of the weekend show on Spaced Out Radio to really figure out where I live. I do not hide it. I'm not one of those guys that really cares if you know where I live. I literally live within 20 minutes of Bob Lazar. I see him almost every day or every other day. And like, seriously, guys, if you want to come here,
me, because I had the plan of trying to get Bob Lazar, and you tried to talk me out of it. I was just giving you, hey, vacuum cleaner ideas, how you may stop them along the way. I'd be your best bet. I would be your best bet. Yes.
So I use my A1 carpet cleaning. I own A1 carpet cleaning in Klamath Falls. If anybody wants to just look it up real quick.
What are we waiting for?
You'll literally see my ugly mug on my website, right? And so that's what I used to try to get in to talk to him. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about Bob Lazar.
I'm willing to go up and like ask for directions and accidentally slip on the stair or something. Come on. What are we
He doesn't
doing?
have stairs there. He doesn't have stairs.
He's got sidewalk somewhere, There's grass.
Oh my gosh. No,
I don't care.
I tell everybody he lives there, but he
I'll
actually
camp out there until he comes. I'm not determined. I really would.
G, I need you to do me a favor. G and Nicole, you guys both are welcome to my house anytime you want.
Yeah, I'm turning you up on it, buddy.
100%. And I'll make you the best crawdad boil you've ever had,
Okay.
man.
Yeah. You
Sold.
sold it.
If I
And we're
Crawdad
gonna
boil,
get
let's go.
Jim and Goodall as bait too for Bob
Oh,
Lazar.
Jim. So
We'll talk later about that.
Yeah,
But
here's
I'm
the
dead serious for getting Bob Lazar.
I invited Jim to my house, and he was actually like 80 miles north of my house when I found out he was visiting Bob Lazar. I was like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, what do you mean? I'm on my way to Portland. I'm like, no, like you should have came here. I would have made you a tri-tip. And he's like, maybe next time. I'm like, come on, man. Like you were right here.
Show up? Yeah. Somebody showed up somewhere. Did he show
He
up
showed
at
up
your
at Bob Lazar's house. He didn't come to my house. He went up north,
house?
kind of where Terry lives. You guys know who Terry is. Brie, I do have a question for you, though. If you're willing to come out here. So here's the deal. When it comes to your ability to see so when you're talking about the soldiers on the field, and this is kind of where I wanted to go with this. So you were talking about your mom could see him as well.
Yeah.
And you said you could see him. She was kind of the stabilizer in your life where she's like, okay, check it out. This is what's really going on. These people can't, like us as normal people, can't see this. So you're seeing these as an apparition of such, and they're kind of going through a repeat, like a loop of what they used to go through. But do you see other apparitions? And now this is where I will get into, hey guys, this is where I get into like shadow people and the shimmering beings, which I do want to ask you about later if you got a chance, even after the show, if we don't get to it now. But when it comes to these apparitions, are they able to do something like, right? Or are they just repeating their, at that time when they were alive, they're like you're seeing the soldiers walk around, they're just repeating a loop? Or are they actually able to stop what they're doing and interact and maybe even answer questions with you? Is that something that's possible?
Well, I think that, okay, well, when you've got residual energy, like it's not so much that they're like living in purgatory and living in a loop. It's the energy of what they used to do that we're seeing the glimpses of. So we're not going to get a response out of, because it's like a passage in time, almost like a skip on a record, like like it's on a loop, but it's not them. It's the energy that they left behind. Now, I fully have seen interactive spirits before. I've had, when I was at Mid-O, you can actually see where the bottom of my curls are getting played with. I've had where I can feel my hair get picked up. Like, for whatever reason, they like playing with my curls, and it doesn't faze me. I'm like, well, if that makes you feel, just don't yank my hair, like I make
pull
sure
my hair, guys.
If you want to sit here and play with my curl, that's okay. It doesn't faze me, because I look at it this way. Like, where I was at, it was the kids, it was in the learning development area, the ones with disabilities. And like, there's certain things that just doesn't really, a lot of stuff doesn't faze me. But I have seen stuff move. I've had a door slammed behind me twice. I've caught that on video. I've had where I've had a chair move that I was sitting in. I got up to go turn the light off, and I could hear the chair scooting across the floor that I was just in, and nobody else was in that room. Like, I fully believe that they can move things because they're trying to get our attention. They're trying to show us, like, hey, I'm here. Like, you're not alone. Like, you thought you were alone in this room, but you're not. So I think that, I know that they can definitely move stuff. It's fascinating to me that they're able to do that.
So here's a really quick story, and I don't mean to like make it about me or my family or anything, but there's a ghost that I've always dealt with, who's just recently back. I'll talk to you about that later. Anyways, he had moved a coffee cup. I was sitting there eating cereal just real quick, like this 22 years ago, 2001. so 23 years ago. And I was eating cereal at my bar, and my granddad was making his coffee, and he turned around to put the milk back in the fridge, and he turned around again, and his coffee cup was gone. We found it. Honestly, it took us like 10 minutes, but he found it in the back bedroom. They move things.
Yeah.
They literally, and I was sitting right there, never noticed the coffee cup move, float, nothing, didn't see it float. Like, I wish I could have. Could you imagine watching a coffee cup just float along all the way down the hallway and into the back master bedroom? Wouldn't that be crazy? Never seen anything like that, but that's where we found it. And this man, my granddad, does not believe. In fact, he watches all my shows, and to this day, he's like, he does not believe that was Ghost. I'm like, dude, that was George. That was George. So they move things. My grandma used to talk about George would grab, kind of like squeeze her calf, like her left leg, her calf. And if you guys go back and watch some of the other, shameless plug, everybody, go back and watch Spaced Out Radios with Dave Scott on the weekdays. And no, I was on Spaced Out Radio as a guest, and when that happened, I talked about when he did that and would squeeze my grandma's calf. He strummed my guitar. They want to be known. So here's what long story short, the ones that want to be known, that squeeze calves or play with your hair or strum guitars or do whatever, move things, they're interactive, versus the ones that you see just kind of doing the loop, kind of like Groundhog's Day, right?
Right.
So is there a difference in, how would I put this, consciousness? I don't know if that's the right word, where they understand that they're messing with you? Or
the one that's in a loop, I guess the best way I can put it is like you got the sun that goes, like the sun as it's going through the sky, items are going to cast shadows, and those shadows are going to be cast at the exact same time daily, right? I mean, that's going to be your loop. It's not something that's going to grab you. It's not something, because it's an imprint. It's almost like if you get bruised, you got that mark on your leg and then it goes away. And if you hit yourself again, you're going to get bruised in the same place, and it's going to be there and it's going to go away. A residual is not something that's going to harm you. It's not going to hurt you. I feel that it's informative to what was in the location. I think residual hauntings are very interesting. I think they're very intriguing. I think that there's a lot that we can learn from them. I think that the conscious ones that choose to interact with us, because I don't think that everything is going to interact with us. I think that there are spirits around us that might not even realize or might not have enough energy to interact, because it takes energy to make energy. You can't give out if you don't have anything. It's like us. If we go without sleep, we become delirious. We become incoherent. You can't speak the $10 words that you want to, Right. But I mean, I've had stuff move in my house. Like I've got a shadow person in my basement that likes to open up my dryer when my dryer's running, and it's the type of dryer that's supposed to lock and not unlock until the cycle's done, and that bad boy will pop open every time. So I mean, there's stuff that does happen, and I think it's just somebody saying, "Hey, I'm here." Or like, they want that, they've been ignored. They want acknowledgement. Maybe there's something that they need to do. They need to say, they're trying to convey, so that way they feel like they can go to the next part of life,
I got you. Hey, Wayne on the chats, you asked what a loop is. Just watch Groundhog's Day. I mean, it's not what I'm talking about as a loop. And for anybody that wants to watch that movie, Groundhog's Day, obviously anybody that's heard me before, I'm a movie buff. Watch Groundhog's Day. That is basically what a loop is. When Brie's talking about, a loop, it's more of the way what I'm taking away from this is when you have soldiers upon a battlefield reenacting something, that is just how would I say this? It is a aura of the consciousness that was there. It is a picture in time that moves. Whereas the ones that can actually physically interact with you are not alive, but they're conscious. They have the ability to manipulate energy in such cases that we can see them and feel them, like when they're playing with Bree's hair. I got to ask you a question. Have you been in a situation where you have had encounters with any type of ghost apparitions, shadow people, anything like that?
No, I definitely have, and I actually I want to bring this up so I can show Bree here. This was legit caught in this house, and no one cast this shadow, guaranteed. So this is what I had just to show you, right?
No,
So,
Oh,
no
oops,
bleeping way, dude. I
dude, let me.
I bleep myself out on that one. Holy bleep.
wow.
Now I'm
You can
gonna
see
zoom
the
in on it.
that's a full formed body.
The full form, and look, the light source is just the one right above in the hallway.
Hmm.
There's no one. There's a kid sleeping in the room to the left, and this is my daughter's iPhone. She had gone in the bathroom. This look, tell me what that is, and this is it more closely. This
That
is
is a
fully
great
defined.
capture.
Yeah, her friend caught it on her phone, and I'm just
That's
like, what in the world is that?
that's a shadow person. That is a full
So,
formed shadow person. That is an amazing catch. I love that picture.
Brie, I got a question for you real quick. Have you seen
Yeah.
the shimmering beings?
Yeah, when I was at Mid O,
Uh-huh.
like they almost looked like
Glitter in water.
yeah, it looked like fireflies going. Like
Hmm.
you could see it like and somebody in the group that was in that was upstairs with me at the time because we were rotating groups and that group we just so happened to see it and it somebody was like, "Oh, fairy," and then somebody else was like, "It looks more like a firefly, like
Hmm.
their butts lighting up," and you could. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I've seen
So
those.
let me ask you a question. So G's picture that he just took or showed on screen here,
Yeah.
this I'm gonna tell you hands down, this is the absolute best picture I've ever seen, hands down,
Hmm.
of
Oh
a
yeah.
shadow person or a being. So when it comes to the shadow people, obviously there has to be someone in between the light source and this wall to make this shadow, and there's nothing there. So
Right.
what's your take on this? I mean, are these the same entities? How are they creating this shadow if we can't see them? Is there some type of dispersion of
Uh,
light? Is there, what is this?
I believe that shadow people, that light beings, that that is they're not. I wouldn't say that they're cryptids. I
Mhm.
would say that they're in between the spirit. Like they're kind of like the next thing, you know, because you've got your spirits, you've got
Mhm.
ghosts, you've got your dead. I believe that if you talk to Indians, Indians have been known to say that they are ancestral beings from the land, that they're guardians, that they're protectors. You've also had people say that shadow beings can be demonic in nature, that if you've got a shadow person, like if you ever watch the Dead Files, you'll hear Amy Allen all the time talk about the shadow people, and she refers to them in different ways depending on the different location in the United States that she's in and how they pertain to like the house, the problem in the house, or the land that the house is on itself. I think that a shadow person, are we ever really going to be able to nail down 110% exactly where a shadow person comes from, the where the its derivation is from? I don't think so, because I think that depending on where you're at in the United States, let alone the world, because they're not limited to the United States. They've been caught overseas. They've been caught in Japan. I mean, you name it, they've seen them. I want to say that they're land based. In all honesty, I think that they are land based. I think that it's kind of it, possibly something that is created or was created to protect, but I also wonder if they can be um we've got spirits of people. Like I said, you could have a jerk that dies, and is he going to be nice now? No, he's probably still going to be a jerk. Like I think that we could have shadow people that are going to be jerks too. I think that there are demonic, I do believe that there are demonic beings. And I believe that there are mischievous beings as well that will imitate certain things to try to scare and to try to feed off the fear of the people in that area, especially if, like the Indians, they've got, depending on the tribe, they've got certain superstitions that pertain to certain beings and how they need to be talked to and how they need to be treated. So it's one of those things that I don't think we're ever going to know fully like where it comes from, but I think that we can't deny them. I've watched shadow people in a hospital. I've watched shadow people in a correctional facility. I've watched shadow people in my own home. Like I mean, they're everywhere. I think I've watched shadow people in a cornfield. I think it just depends on where you're at and I like what they're going to be referred to. And I think
Right.
that it's like they don't need to be worshipped, but I think that it is something that you need to be aware of just as much as you're going to be aware of the entity in your house that moved your grandpa's coffee cup, to the back master bedroom.
Yep.
You got to be aware of it and just be mindful, start paying attention, if other things start happening, if it does kick up an activity that is malicious towards the family, then yeah, you might want to get somebody in to help in that situation for sure.
And let me say this real quick: the demon, the existence of a soul, has never been proven. I like to call comments out like that because that's a one-sided way to look at it. Because just as easily as that statement could be made, the existence of a soul uh, has never not been proven. So,
Right.
let's look at it both ways, man. I mean, you can't just unless you have the proof that souls don't exist, then I wouldn't make a statement
Well,
like that.
well, there's no, yeah, like even the demon said after that, he said no proof. Well, there's no proof either way, shape, or form. You
Right.
can't prove it. Can you prove where your consciousness comes from? Can you prove that it comes from your brain? Can you prove that your brain's a radio tower that accepts it from some kind of radio reception in the heavens? No, you can't. You can't prove jack stuff. You
Yeah.
can't prove it.
Yeah.
So no, there is no proof, but there is this thing called belief,
Yeah.
feeling, and and so the things that you see, you know, don't take science, even though science is one of those things where they don't believe things until they see it, right? That
Right.
which is fine. Don't believe something that you see either, though, because there's things that I've seen, like the shimmering beings and the shadow people. Do they exist? I don't know. Did I see them? Yeah, I actually tried to touch one twice. And did I feel it? No. Is it real? Who's to say what's real? So we're not here to literally dictate science and try to prove stuff. We're just here to share experience and
And
keep
approach the
on
subject
going.
with an open mind. Exactly.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
I
Mr.
know
G, I love
Coley.
you, man.
Coley has something here. What are we looking at, Coley?
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to pull this up real quick to see what you guys thought of it. It's probably one of the coolest things that I've come across. Are you able to see on your end? Let me see here. I just clicked out of it. Sorry.
Yeah,
If
it's up here.
you scroll in on it, you can see like almost a face, but a face behind it. I have a few more pictures of it. It formed
It
like, but
kind
you
of
can see the time of day. This is a little dramatized, but let's see. Because I was trying to get a feel on it. I just lost it because I started to go through a
is
few
this a
of them.
camera that you have that has that red light that is supposed to like mitigate red eyes?
No, it's I have so much. This camera I think is an older version of it. It's kind of flash photography. I don't know if you've ever used
Mm.
that technique before.
Yep.
So when
Uh-huh.
I feel something, we go and there's like no flashlights, nothing out there. And then where I feel stuff, like I'll go ahead and I'll snap pictures. And then this is like some of the stuff. I don't know if you can see this one or not, but it actually looks like almost like a face behind like I don't know what you see in it, but it definitely doesn't look human. And this was in a cemetery that
You don't want
was
to know what I
haunted.
see.
Yeah.
This is
I
a
see a few
face.
things.
So if you look at a clock, to me, this is a female face with exaggerated brows for anybody that wants to see it the way I'm seeing it. I'm looking at the face as the forehead is at the 7:30, 8 o'clock position. And you can see the eyebrows, which are the highlighted areas, which underneath those highlighted areas are two darker areas. And you see a mouth to the 3 o'clock position, or actually 2 o'clock position. It's like skewed, but yes, I can see. In fact, not only can I see that, but then I can see another face behind it. Yeah, don't let me look at this photo for too long, because I will dissect the snot out of this.
Yes. There's let me see if I can find it. It actually like cocooned.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy, and it actually, you can look into it and you can see where
there it is. It's the same exact face, except this time I see 3 of them. Wait a minute.
You got 3? Yeah. I definitely see the one behind this, and like I don't know. It's weird, but it's right next to this.
There's the one that you originally seen in the cocoon, which is with the highlighted eyebrows, which you can see. Yeah, that's perfect. Stop right there. Then just to the 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock position of that is another face behind it. And then straight at your 12 o'clock above it is another face. And then there's something going on at your 7 o'clock. I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a cool picture, man. You got to send that to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I just wanted to get your take on that one. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I have time and date stamps on them too, so you can see.
Brie, what's your take?
What's that word I'm looking for?
Pareidolia.
Pareidolia. Kind of like interesting.
She has a living encyclopedia in her house. Did you guys hear that?
I love it.
Yeah.
My sister's my brain for me right now, because like I like the big words. My brain is like no big words.
All right, let's say hi to your sister real quick.
Your disembodied voice over there. Yeah.
They say hi. The kind of like the Matrix thing. I think that it's so easy for us to see stuff within, and I'll be honest, because I'm with me being in a hotel, I'm looking on my phone screen. Mm-hmm. So if you could send those to me so I could see like something bigger than I would love to be able to take a better look at that, because I think that pictures speak 1,000 words. But you got to be careful with pictures too, because I love photographic evidence. I've got photographic evidence that I've got content for months with the photographic evidence that I have. But you got to be, it's one of those that it's like, it's almost scary sometimes, because something like that, you caught something. I love flash photography. I love using Polaroids. You are going to get sometimes some of the best evidence. I've got a Polaroid from Old Hospital in College Hill, where you can see what looks like an angelic figure above my head, looks like on the right side of me, behind me, an 8 to 10 foot shadow person, and then looks like a squid type figure coming out of the ceiling above my head. I would love to see that picture though, and like be able to like enlarge it on my phone and see it better, because you do have something there for sure. I just can't tell with it being on my phone right now what it is.
Oh no, yeah. And
I'm being honest. I'm just being honest with you guys. You do have something. You have something for sure. I want to be able to see it better. Because like in the small picture, with the first picture that you showed, without zooming in on the size ratio on my phone that I was seeing it on, it almost looked like a child jumping over a headstone. Because of how small the picture is. And then in the second picture, without zooming in on it, it looked like it looked like a jellyfish, like a sideways jellyfish, so, and then when you zoomed in, I was like, okay, I can see faces, like Grant was saying he saw faces. I was able to be like, oh, okay, I can see faces in the tentacles, like where like it got that bloomed out, of the bottom. So I would love to see those and be able to take a better look at them. But when it's on the smaller scale, it looked like a child jumping up, like a child was running over, like through almost.
I saw like a big old dinosaur head, and I don't know what I saw. It was like almost like the Loch Ness monster face is like what I saw in the first one. It was crazy. Because you can see the mouth was at the bottom. Yeah. It looked like some sort of creature.
Yeah. Now that I look at it closer, I'm looking at it right now. There is a headstone, because I assumed it was by the bigger one, but obviously the older headstones are the ones closer to the ground, and it does look like it's above a pretty old headstone, but I don't know that for a fact. I'd have to go through and analyze. I took 1,000 pictures.
Well, here's something to take into consideration too. You can take a picture, because I believe that spirits will show themselves differently to different people. So just like with an EVP, we can catch an EVP and you might hear it one way, but I might hear it another way. And I've actually been a part of that happening before, where we heard a disembodied voice in the room and 3 of us heard it say something completely different, but we all heard the exact same voice. I've seen a face come around a corner before, but I thought I saw the face of a young child, and somebody thought that it was, just a shadow movement. And somebody actually got a picture of it, and they're like, no, it's not a child, it's a woman. So I think that they reveal themselves differently to us depending on how they're trying to portray themselves and maybe the message they're trying to get across to us, because I might not portray it, I might not receive it the way it's supposed to be received, but somebody else could receive it the way it needs to be seen and heard. So that's something to take into consideration too with pictures.
Oh, I believe that as well. There's so many people out there. I'm sorry, Nicole. There's so many people out there that have 35 millimeter all the way up to digital. It doesn't even matter which one you have, which is actually very interesting to me because I going through school, I majored in photography, and 35 millimeter film, and or whether it be color or black and white, which black and white's way easier, but still you would find in that film, in those negatives, there would be these orbs, these images, and they were on the film. Now, bear in mind, people, I can literally take a 35 millimeter film. You bring it to me, and I can develop it, and I can put shadows in there. I can put orbs in there. That's super easy to do, like ridiculously easy. But when you look at the negatives and they're in the negatives, that's not something I can do. The camera took that, not me.
Yeah.
There's your proof in the pudding. Digital pictures, like I got the Nikon P900 right now. Not somewhere. Anyways,
I got the Nikon one. Yeah, P1000.
You got the 1000, girl?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Look at you showing off.
Mine is like, yeah, it's on. I loved it. I'll have to get it out. Its lens is seriously insanely crazy. It's got a total personality of its own.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got the Nikon P1000.
Me and you. Me and you. We gotta have a conversation. By the way, Lord Williams, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you for supporting Spaced Out Radio. For everybody else, it's the best way to support us. You can be going online right now and supporting our super chats, as well as getting part of our Space Travelers Club. Like, thank you so much. Anyways, Nicole, I will talk to you soon, because me and you we got to meet up and play with our cameras.
I know, especially like that's just my second favorite is the P91 or 9000 or 900. Excuse me. So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love those cameras. I did so much research before I got that too. That's crazy. You have one.
So we're getting off topic.
It's all good. I'll just put in the chat questions in caps, yo, because we're gonna get ready to feed these questions to Brie rapid fire and go ahead and get her opinion on those. We have about 15 minutes for break, so we have a few started already. So, Jade, if you're still here, I know you asked this multiple times, and I said I was gonna hold this for you for sure. Um, Brie, have you been to the Hinsdale House?
New York. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going on a Halloween special trip, like I had mentioned at the beginning, and I'm starting it at the Hinsdale House. 3 days, 2 nights. First trip I'm going there, so I am like stoked right now.
The only reason why I know where this is because I've been there. It's on McMohan, McMohan, something. But it's in Hinsdale, so anybody wants to look at it. I want to see whatever video footage you take there. The house is white. It's kind of an awkward house. It has like a let me think about this. It's single story and like a two story on one side or the other. I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about? It's like got an addition. Yeah. Creepy place. And I was there at like 6-7:30 at night, which wasn't even dark, and it was still gave me the heebie-jeebies. But they did. Let me think. I think you were allowed to go there for an overnighter for like a couple $100. It's not much. They'll let like literally if you want to go on your ghost hunting, trip, it's like two or three. I don't know. Look it up. Maybe I want to say it's like $200 or $300, and you can stay the night there and do your whole shindig. Holy crap, dude. If you're going there, I want to see this. You got to share this with Spaced Out Radio, period.
I will totally share with you guys whatever evidence I get. I'm completely stoked, especially with the fact that I get to be sleeping on site in the house for 2 nights. So
2 nights?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Okay, I do have to ask you though. How much is that costing you?
I was invited as a special guest.
Oh, no crap.
Oh, yeah. They told me because my birthday was September 28th. They were like, happy belated birthday. It was one of my followers that's going. And so he was like, you've got to come. I want to bring you along. Just make a donation to the house. And I'm like, I've got you, and I will be there, and that's actually going to be what kicks off my Halloween special.
Dude, I cannot believe you're going there. That is like the randomest thing for me. I've been there, but I never got to stay. I didn't stay the night. And it's like McMahon's Furniture. That's the way I have to remember the road. It's McMahon's or McMohan or some crap. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I'm geeked. I'm completely geeked out. My teenage sons, I raised them on Paranormal, and they're like, "Mom, you suck."
Hold on, let me look this up. Hold on a second. I gotta.
Yeah, Daniel. Like I always pronounce Daniel's last name wrong. He's Daniel Clace. He's actually on Ghost Finders, and he does the production. I want to say for Nick Groff with Deathwalker. Okay. He's the one that owns the property now. So
here we go.
Or it's executive producing or something.
3830 McMohan Road, Hinsdale, New York. Yes, I was close. Good job, man. I'm so proud of you. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I cannot wait to see what comes out of this. Because if you look up anything haunted out of New York, that's one of the ones that's on the list. So good job, man. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I will definitely share whatever I get from that.
All right. Awesome. And let me ask you this, because Abbott Hoffman, and I don't know if this is going to come across right, but he asked, dead is turned off in suspended non-animation. No.
What?
You get that? Yeah. Abbott, if you can re-ask that.
Well, if there's one thing that I think that we're guaranteed in life besides taxes, it's death. We're all gonna die, unfortunately. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you try to do to extend your life. That's the one thing that we are guaranteed. I think it's just what happens in the after that's different and varying for each of us, because not everybody, do I feel, stays behind. I do feel that people do get to move forward, do get to not stay. So I think that that's where the difference is and what happens after death is, do you choose to stay? Are you forced to stay because you didn't get to complete what you were put on this earth to do?
Ooh, that's
Is
tricky.
something holding you back and making you stay? I mean, there's so many different varying degrees, but does everybody stay behind? I don't feel everybody stays behind.
But
So.
Everybody be crossed over.
I heard that.
What'd she say? I'm interested. And the
She
dubs
said, or else everybody be crossover.
Oh yeah, they'd be running over right now.
So is there ooh, that's we're delving in past the ghost and apparitions and shadow people and all that. When you talk about consciousness being suspended in like an or even the way he put it was a double negative, but either way,
Yeah.
there's ooh, that's a good question, because is it a suspended animation? Like if you consider our 3D, meat bodies, meat suits, whatever you want to call this, as an animated product, and your consciousness is not animated, but it's still, what drives everything, and we are a suspended animation when we're not alive. Ooh, I've never thought about that.
That's crazy. I've heard too before that maybe we're reliving like at death, like reliving our lives the way that we are, and that's why like some of the stuff is the way it is. I don't know. When you get into some of that stuff that goes past, it's very interesting. Very, very
So wait,
interesting.
we're reliving a life, and we have a choice in that life. So if I choose to like show up at your doorstep right now, that was something that I'm reliving from the past. That means I have no, at any point in my life, no consideration for any of my actions, because I'm just reliving it. I'm just watching it happen. So
Well, no, you know how they say when you die, like your life flashes before your eyes.
yeah,
Okay, so we don't really have a concept of time. Like when we die, there's just that moment. And if we're reliving that and we're not, state by state, what if this is flashing like before our eyes? Yeah, who knows? You know what I'm saying? It's just you start going down that rabbit hole, you can go deep. Very,
yeah. I
very
don't want
deep.
to. I don't want to go down there yet. Wait, give me
This is
give
a
me
good
about 30
rabbit hole.
years.
Oh my gosh, we need another couple hours for this one.
More than a couple? Are you kidding me? We
I
need
was
like
trying
10.
to be nice.
Like
I
I'm
need a whole
literally.
pot of coffee at that point.
I need a couple of shots at that point. Like I can't think that hard.
Hey, I want some liquor in my coffee, all right?
Yeah, I got some.
Look, we have Double Day Clements. Double Day Clements asks, there are some ghost hunters who claim that most spirits are just shy, and that's why they hide in closets and basements. Do you agree?
That let's go to Scooby Doo. I mean, that's a whole Scooby Doo mentality. I mean, that's no. I mean, things don't hide in closets and hide in basements. They're everywhere. Do I have one that stays in my basement and plays with my dryer? Yeah.
That's
But maybe that's where it prefers to be. I dealt with the Hat Man entity when I lived in Wisconsin, and he stayed in the basement until my husband and I he left and we got divorced, and then he came up into the actual apartment and terrorized my kids for a couple of years. I don't think that spirits hide. I don't think that they're shy. I think that it goes back to what we spoke about before. They might not know that they're dead. They might be, it could be a loop. We might be seeing something in a closet because maybe every day at the same time they were putting their shoes back in the closet. It could be a loop. There's a rabbit trail here too, but yeah, no, there's no shy. If somebody tries to tell you a ghost is shy, like, please don't buy that. For the love of God, don't buy that. Like, no, spirits are not shy. I think that you gotta think of it this way too. Depending on where you're at, like I was just speaking to a friend of mine this weekend, and he was he was on Indian land, and there he is, a white man, and he's asking these questions. They're investigating this area, and he's asking the questions in English. Now, it took him a couple months to really process it and think it through, and he said he had a light bulb moment, and he was like, oh my God, I'm a white man, I'm on Indian land, are they really going to want to talk to me? So he went to a friend of his that happened to be from that tribe, and he was like, does anybody speak the ancient language? Is that still taught? We'll come to find out their brother did. And he went out with the brother, and the brother started asking questions in the ancient native tongue, and that's when they started getting results. So you got to take a lot of that stuff into consideration too. It might not just be that it's a shy, it's, are you speaking the right language? Are you the right person to actually approach? Because what if this is a man from like a certain time frame when women shouldn't be approaching men? What if this is, and you got to think of it this way too. Like when I talk to people about places that are poor farms, they go like and I always say this incorrectly, but Edinburgh Manor,
Yeah,
it was a poor farm, and a lot of people think, oh well, I'm getting scratched, it's got to be demonic. Well, no, don't go there. Look at the history of where you are. It was a poor farm. What did poor farms house? They housed the degenerates of society, women whose husbands passed away and they couldn't own land, and if family couldn't take them in, they got put in a poor farm with their children. If you were arrested, you got put on the poor farm because it was a legitimate working farm and you were paying off your debt to society. Yes, the men were separated from the women, but you also had these poor farms that were then turned into what? Senior living facilities, later in life, medical facilities, tuberculosis facilities. And you've got people in there that have medical conditions, mental health illness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to think about it. You got people who have Alzheimer's, epilepsy, Tourette's, depression, bipolar, anxiety, things that they didn't even know existed or how to deal with it back then. You might have a deaf or a mute person in there too. And guess what? If they're deaf or mute, just like the whole jerk mentality, the theory of you being a jerk and then you die and you're still a jerk, let's think of it, let's apply it to a medical condition. What if you are deaf? What if you are
Can
mute?
I tell you something really quick to interject? The picture I have is from the Edinburgh Manor. This is right here in the basement. So I pulled it up, and then you started talking about it after. I didn't even get a chance to explain anything. As soon as I pulled it down, you started talking about it. So this guy right here is who I got in the basement with flash photography. I think it's probably what they call the Joker. Have you? I didn't know.
See, when I got scratched there, I was actually talking about the Joker, and I was getting ready to walk into the room where the teenage girl was sexually assaulted by the staff. And I was talking about the Joker, and that's when my hand started burning, and you could watch the welt appear. Ironically, I think the Joker, in all honesty, I think it's somebody who had a mental illness, who probably was not able to speak. And so what are they doing? They're communicating most likely the same way that they would have if they were a living, breathing person. If you can't speak, and back in the 1800s, and nobody's really paying attention, nobody really understands that type of stuff medically, then what would you do to get somebody's attention? You might throw something, you might bang on a wall, you might scratch for attention. So it's you got to go back. I mean, ghosts aren't shy. You got to look at the land. You got to look at, are you the right person to be asking the questions? When I was investigating last night, I happened to thoroughly upset a spirit because I was a female.
Oh yeah.
All right. And we got to stop right there because we have to get ready for our next break. It's time to pause for the cause with our last break of the night as we get ready to jump into hour number 3 in the final hour here on Spaced Out Radio, and we'll be right back. right. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio after hour number 3 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, and the awesome Nicole Coley Weber. We also have our guest, Brie, and special guest, Grantavius Max. For the final hour, we're going to kind of just talk about some more stuff here, jump back into the paranormal. We are going to go ahead and get the rest of your viewer questions, so don't worry about that. And to all the space travelers out there, which you guys all are space travelers, consider taking the next step and join the club. That's right. You can join our Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers Club for as little as $5. That's 20 quarters. Get some official Spaced Out swag at spacedoutradio.com. As we go ahead and get back into it, let's see. There were a few, we had like a few other viewer questions that we had checked here. So let me get those out the way. We have one from Black Dragon. We have one from Black Dragon here. And Black Dragon has said, hey, Brie, research the Serpentine Mound and crater near it. Have you?
Okay, and that's the one that's in Ohio, the Serpentine Mound. Yeah, been there, love it. I know that it is reportedly a burial mound, but I've also seen a show where they have gone all the way back to, I believe, Scotland, and there's supposedly 3 serpentine mounds in the whole not U.S. but the world, and there's one actually in Scotland, and it goes back to so one of the theories is ritualism, and that there was a burning pit and there were sacrifices done in the coiling of the tail. So I have done a little bit of study on it. I know about it from the Indian perspective, but I know that I've also seen where they're saying that it goes back to Viking tradition, if not further back, and that is actual proof that civilization actually landed in America before Christopher Columbus. So there's a lot at play when it comes to the Serpentine Mound and what the origins really, truly, technically are. I can't remember the name of the show, but if you go to Discovery Plus, it's on there. The gentleman actually goes across the United States, and like he's found hieroglyphics. He has found all kinds of things. Like there's the Stonehenge that's on the East Coast. And, is that proof of civilization in the United States before Christopher Columbus? There's different aspects to it. But he's got a phenomenal show. He's actually based out of Minneapolis, I believe. Great show. I highly recommend it. He actually covers the Serpentine Mound in Ohio.
Nice. So we have next the Dogman UK man asked a question. If you see them, have they ever told you they have been murdered? And I guess, and then you went to the police to report the killer. Just curious.
That's not happened to me, but I know that there are psychic mediums that do operate in that facility that have been used to help solve missing children's cases, to help solve missing persons cases. They've been used, they've been brought in on cold cases to see if they can get them warmed back up and try to get, a new, fresh perspective on the situation. I know that there are some that they will knock it out of the park, and they have done that they've been brought in on. They work hand in hand with the FBI, that they worked with the ATF, the CIA. I have not done that myself, so unfortunately, no. That would be, I think that's a great honor and a privilege if you've been given that gift and that chance to help solve a murder or a crime, especially something that ended violently and tragically. But no, I haven't had that chance yet.
All right. And we have Word List. Says, okay, crazy question, but have any of you experienced, I guess, and pets? I think maybe like ghost pets potentially they may be talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And then 2 more questions here. We have Derek Galloway asking, Bree, do you believe in purgatory?
Yes. I do believe that there's a heaven. I do believe that there's a hell, and I also believe that there's in the middle. Um, I know this much that I look at it this way. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I feel like we all have to respect each other's opinions when it comes to stuff. So if we're going to sit here and say that there's demonic forces, there's got to be angelic forces too. And if you want to look at it from a biblical stance, it talks about the veil between the worlds. Where's that veil at? Is it a veil that surrounds me? And as I walk, is it a heavy curtain, like a drape? Or is it like the sheer that your grandma would have over the window, like the lace? And if the wind blows, is that curtain moving? Is that veil moving? And so my mom, who's passed away, she's been gone for 18 years. I know my mom's with me. I know my grandmother who went before her is with me. Like, is that why I can sense them as much as I do? Because that veil is so thin, and at certain times it moves just the right way to where you can smell that perfume, you can smell that cherry tobacco of your grandfather. You got to look at it like this too. In the book of Daniel, the angel, when Cliff Notes, when the angel shows up to Daniel, he goes, I'm sorry it took so long. I had to fight my way through. Evidently, there's stuff going on around us, people. If an angel is appearing saying, I had to fight my way through, not everything's always going to be demonic. If we can hear the bad things, why are we not hearing the good things? What about the stranger that shows up that we see on CCTV and snatches the kid out of traffic, and then that person disappears? Do you think a demon's going to do that? No, that's got to be an angelic being, that manifests itself. I like to look at it in that sense.
Love it. That's deep. Brie going deep tonight, y'all. Brie going deep. She's going deep. Now this is
I
more
like going deep.
that's good. Hey, me as well. I love it. And then we have the last question here, and this can kind of, I guess, take us out of the questions and take you into another place here. So we have Cody Rains asking, what's your favorite location you've investigated this year, Brie?
Oh my God. Okay, so here's the funny story is that I just started everything that I do being active in the paranormal field the first weekend of July. So, but every weekend I have gone hard and I've gone to locations. If I haven't investigated, I've highlighted and given history along with hauntings. But I have hit some massive bucket list locations. So I can't say that I've got a specific favorite because I went to Old Hospital on College Hill. Amazing. I had the nurse on the fourth floor who never checked out from her shift interact with me for like a good half hour, 45 minutes. Um, Mid Orange Correctional Facility. I've been there. I've been to the USS North Carolina this year. I mean, the list just goes on and on of all the amazing places. It's kind of been a go big or go home year for me with locations. So, but I've also gone to I've also gone to museums that are not well known that have probably the most activity that I've seen that you wouldn't expect a museum to have. But that also goes back to, you got to think of, we leave energy where we go. Everything we touch, we're leaving an imprint on it. And when you've got a small building like a house that's been turned into a museum, can you imagine the parties that are being thrown by the spirits, by the energy that's been left on every single item in that building? So everything these past 3 months that I've done it, it's all been my favorite. I don't know if I can actually like pinpoint a specific place. Um, but the one that probably made me cry is when I went to Edinburgh. So like that one, like when I took the pictures of me standing outside, because I always do a video and I always take still pictures too. And you can see in the pictures where I'm actually tearing up, the fact that I'm actually there on the property in front of the building. Like, that was a dream come true for me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, that wraps up the question portion. So the viewers have gotten their questions out the way, and yeah, so let's go ahead and open the floor up. Anybody have anything?
So Chicago 420 says, "Where's the best place to find a ghost?" Question mark. I need some ghost friends.
The best place to find a ghost? Well, you got to realize that your energy is going to attract what you find. And if you've got walls up and then if you're not believing that you're going to find anything, guess what? You're not going to find anything. So it's all in, are you willing to let your walls down? Are you willing to have belief that there's something beyond yourself? And if you are willing to do that, and if you're willing to go to locations, and don't go in there being like, here, ghosty, ghosty, ghosty. It's not a dog. It's not a cat. I challenge people, when you go to a location, go and sit and be quiet. Don't use equipment. Just sit, be still, allow your body to be your best piece of equipment, and you're going to have most likely the best activity that you've ever had.
Awesome,
I can agree with that. I mean, honestly, excuse me. There we go. So honestly, if you're not open to something like this and you have shut your mind to it, do you believe that somebody that is like myself, I'm open to it, so I see it all the time as well as you do, and I'm sure that Nicole and G-Man here can attest to that. But if you've closed your mind off to this, but you're still interested, you're watching this show, what for the person that is got their blinders on, do you think that they would have any less chance of seeing it?
No, because I think that it could be also happening around them too, and they're not realizing it, that they're making the excuses for what they see, what they hear, what they feel. And it's personal reflection, because you could have something that is begging for your attention and beating on your wall and rattling your pipes, and you could just think, I need to get new plumbing, but there's something that is there trying to get your attention. You have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone, and I know for a lot of people it's scary to want to acknowledge that there's something outside of themselves, because there's that fear factor that's been put into place by the horror genre, by the TV shows. And I mean, you go to YouTube, and what's the clickbait going on right now? Demon. And that, I think, ruins a lot of opportunities for people when you have clickbait like that. I'm not going to sit here and tell people what they can and can't do. I just think it's kind of sad that you're not allowing people to see the content that you have because of the verbiage that you're using. You got to be willing to open yourself up, though, and you got to be willing to take that step forward and go, okay, if my pipes are rattling and if I fix my plumbing and I'm still hearing noises, maybe maybe they are really trying to get my attention. Like, if you ignore to certain points, I've seen it escalate, and I've seen things escalate. I've seen things get to where it was a knock on a wall to a shoe go flying across the room. So
Oh, sorry, Nicole.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, she said shoe flying across the room. So my only thing is what is the craziest incident that you've followed or ever seen happen visually?
With the house that I was growing up in, the spirits, okay, so if you go to Gettysburg, if you go to any haunted location, they're going to sell book that, the hauntings of said location, said town, said city, said square, said street, right? So my mom had actually bought the Ghost of Gettysburg books. I don't know if anybody has seen those or read those. They're amazing. One of the stories in them was about a woman who had gone to Gettysburg, and she was a skeptic believer, and just kind of being smart, she was like, well, I'm getting ready. And she lived in Washington, but she didn't specify that she lived in Washington State. And she was standing outside, and she was leaving her friend's house that she'd been at, and she was like, well, I'm going home to Washington. If you want to come with me, get in the car. Well, what is Gettysburg? It's a Civil War battlefield. Where did a lot of the soldiers work or go to and from? Washington. So I think that that might have caused some issues for her. But anyway, she went home to Washington and she had poltergeist activity for a full year. Her friend that lived in Gettysburg had to come to her house, ask for, hey, I'm leaving. Do you want to go back to Gettysburg? And they left. I believed it. I grew up in a house, but I was kind of like I was 16. I was dumb. Okay. I made the same comment outside of the cemetery in Gettysburg, and we brought something home, and it did not fare well with the spirits that we already had in our home. The home I grew up in is suspected to have been on the Underground Railroad. And so there's a lot of activity within the house that I grew up in. And the spirits kind of collided, so to speak. And my mom said that she would lay in bed watching orange and green orbs go through the room right by her side of the bed. When we were in Gettysburg, my dad had bought a book on the Vietnam War, and he had sat it down on the lazy boy. And when we woke up the next morning, it was shredded like something with claws had shredded the cover of the book. So there was like a whole year of things being taught. It was poltergeist activity, doors slammed. You could hear something running at you. Things would be thrown at you. I remember I had one friend, she would come over and they did not like her. And I remember I had my coloring pencils out and these coloring pencils started flying through the air at her. And I was like, you're going to have to go home. Like, it's not safe. So that was probably like the craziest thing. But yes, the next summer, my mom was like, you better go in that house and tell it we're going back to Gettysburg. I did that, and the activity of that nature stopped. It went back to like peaceful spiritual activity, so to speak.
Wow, so you just think that they were very unsettled then. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, like, because I'm wondering, like, with where I was at with it being Gettysburg, is it possible that a Confederate soldier had come back to my house, with my house being suspected of being on the Underground Railroad? Could I have the spirits of slaves that are trying to escape but maybe got sick or injured and passed away on their route? And there was that confliction.
Here's another thing. Do you have anything in your home or inside your home that is from that era?
Yeah, I do have artifacts in my house that I live in now. Yeah, I've got artifacts.
So here's the thing. I got. In fact, I it's about 10 feet from me. I got Napoleon Bonaparte's letter opener, and of course, nothing followed that. But I've heard many accounts where, oh, hey, there's certain energies that will attach themselves to physical items.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so if you have these artifacts that are in your home, that they could be attached to those. And in my case, there's nothing there, unfortunately, because I would love to have Napoleon walking through my house. And but literally, I mean, you right now, what kind of artifacts you have in your house that would you think would tie to that era?
Well, I know the house that I grew up in, my dad collected a lot of mini balls. He had he was real big in metal detecting as well. So he would find like pieces of the badges, the copper, the brass that they would have on their lapels. We had pieces of that. We had coins that my dad had found, and he was making like shadow boxes with all this stuff. So I mean, I fully believe that things can have attachments. I mean, look at the doll Annabelle in the Warrens Museum.
Is that the one that moves?
Annabelle's the one where the motorcyclist made fun of her, and then was in the accident that killed him, like not even 2 hours later, when he was told by, I think, Tony, or was it Ed? One of the two told him he had to leave, and he left and was on a motorcycle accident, and it killed him and severely injured his girlfriend right after. But like Dan Riviera, who actually handles Annabelle now, uh, every he's been in multiple. He's had multiple car issues around anytime he's dealt with Annabelle for the most part. Not like every time, but he's had issues around certain times that he's dealt with her. So like Annabelle is now like in the wooden, looks like an outhouse with like the glass window and
Oh yeah,
yeah,
she's
she's bad news. Yeah, she's bad news.
I'm drawn to that. For some reason,
me,
I would love to go in and see, like, just tap on the glass or something. I don't. I should probably never go there. I'd be like, I can't help it.
Well, if you go to the Warren, they have their Phantasmacon the end of October at Mohegan Sun in over on the East Coast. And they're actually going to have Annabelle, and they're going to have a few other of the artifacts from the museum that have attachments to them.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just looked it up, and I just typed in Annabelle, and it came out where I typed in Annabelle haunting, and it came out with the doll that I was thinking of, that weird Raggedy Ann with the red hair doll.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're talking about? The same thing?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm good. Like we can stop the conversation. Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, my last house that I bought over in Grants Pass, Merlin area, had this stinking doll sitting on the bed. And I'll show you guys personally, but scared the living bejesus out of me. And I was like, no, I'm not buying this house. I'm not buying this. And then you're talking about Annabelle here. I see what you're seeing. I did not know the history behind it, which is very interesting, but holy. And Annabelle, for anybody that's wondering, that's not like just a little bitty doll.
No, she's a big doll.
She's a big doll.
She's a 1960s, 1970s Raggedy Ann, where like you could snuggle her in bed. You could use her for a pillow.
And she will kill you in the middle of the night. No big deal.
Like there's actually like the story behind
that's
Annabelle.
Not right. No, that's not it.
That's Annabelle. That's
even creepier. I do not want to have nightmares tonight.
But with there's two different dolls. I can't remember all their names, but they with the Raggedy Ann doll, the Annabelle,
I'll find it.
It started with nurses. They were actually in nursing school, and they noticed that the doll would start moving, lights would turn on, then physical attacks happened, and then it just kept escalating from there. And that's when the Warrens ended up being brought into the situation.
Hey, G,
it got violent.
I just brought up the screen sharing. You're right. Yeah. But right here is the theatrical version. Yeah. And then this is the real. Look at this picture here. This picture here is the real Annabelle doll.
Yeah, and that's with Lorraine holding her. Yeah.
Yeah, and this one over here is obviously, Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, panic attack coming in, and but sorry. Yeah, that is. Oh my goodness, no, I'm good. Yeah, I don't even want to look at that anymore.
That's good to know, though. I had no idea those were actually related. I didn't know, man. Raggedy Ann, I had no clue that was Annabelle.
Well, did you see those in the? Sorry,
that
go
is
ahead.
Wild, actually.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that's why if you go to haunted locations where they leave dolls, that's the main reason why you see a lot of Raggedy Ann dolls left. It's almost an homage to Annabelle.
I have both of those dolls, Ann and Andy. That's crazy.
You have
dating myself.
Hold on. You have both of those dolls in your home?
Not currently. No, when I was a kid, I had both of them. That was the thing back then. Raggedy Ann and Andy.
Oh yeah.
Well, I love you, bro, but you just creep me the hell out.
Oh man, see, if I would have knew, believe me, because one thing I do not like is creepy dolls. So
me neither. No.
I am fascinated. Yeah. I don't know. I'd be so tempted just to go, and I just want to knock.
They seem so They seem so nice. They're smiling. You know what I mean? They're fun. No. Okay.
Yeah.
No, they're not nice. Okay. Come on, man. So I'm gonna tell you. I'm literally. Hear me out. I'm going to send you pictures of the Zillow when I bought my last house, not this one I'm in right now. I bought that. Was this a year and a half ago now? 2 years almost. I bought this house. And then my last house I bought was in Merlin, Oregon. So if anybody wants to look up 575 Barker Drive in Merlin, Oregon, look that house up because that was my old house. And but you won't see the pictures that I got from the previous owners. And in the middle of the master bedroom bed was this creepy, can't curse, doll that scared the living heck out of me. And I was almost done. I was like, no, I'm not going to buy this house. And my wife's like, no, you can buy it. No. And I ended up buying it, and as long as I got that doll out of the stinking house. Yeah, I don't do dolls very well. Like those animatronic ones and the ones, the ventriloquist ones, they creep.
Yeah.
You got to understand. What's that movie called? The one from the 80s. We all watched it. It was we're all the Puppet Master.
Oh, yeah. Puppet Master.
Puppet Master. Ever since then, because my parents were dorks, I got other colorful language for them. Literally let me watch this stuff as a child. And guess what? Yeah, scarred for life. You have 5 spots in your brain when you're about 5 years old. And every one of them, they're just permanent, scarred, tattooed in your brain. And Puppet Masters was one of them.
Jesus. Yeah, I can see that.
Like I grew up on like the Omens, like Poltergeist. Like
Poltergeist rock though.
Let us watch those when but then the
Nicole,
girl like
how old are you?
How old do you think I am?
I think you're 12.
Yeah, 12.
Ding ding ding.
So that means you're 14, right?
Yeah, no, 43.
Yeah, BS.
Yeah.
You're the same as me. Okay. All right. I like you.
You're 43 too. That's awesome.
12,779, baby.
Yeah.
12,779. Me and you.
I'm 5'7", 79.
Oh, look at you. I'm into older girls, by the way.
7 months difference.
Yeah. Especially ones that have like interest in ufology and cryptids, and I'm just teasing you. And Brie, let's get it back to you. Thank you guys for tolerating my panic attack, which was actually took me about 10 minutes to go through. And but Brie, I do have a serious question for you.
Okay.
So when it comes to and this is in your home, okay, in your house, on let's say an average, how often do you see something other than what we call reality?
All the time.
So like every day?
Yeah, like you can hear things, you can see things. There's shadow movement all the time.
All right. So
my kids constantly are telling me that they hear somebody walking in the kitchen when there's nobody in the kitchen, and yeah.
Shizzle pops. I want to talk to you about this because you just mentioned something that is actually near and dear to what's happened to a lot of people that experience entities, ghosts, and whatever. Children. Now you're the one that brought this up, so just letting everybody know. And I have watched 2 of my children talk to their grandfather in my kitchen at different times, a year apart. Just
wow.
So, and I asked them both. I'm used to it. I don't care. It's no big deal. I'm talking to Granddad. Okay, cool. I can't see him. Thanks, dude, for not talking to me. I'm a little jealous. I'm just teasing. I am jealous. But when it comes to kids, do kids have something that we lose that allows them to talk? Okay, what is that?
I believe it's innocence. I believe it's the fact that when you're little, you're completely open. You don't know. You're being taught. We have to teach children right from wrong, right? Um,
Yeah.
they are fearless. Think about it. When a child is learning to walk, when they're trying to do things, we're the ones putting boundaries on them. We're the ones telling them, no, you can't do this. Children don't know. They don't have fear. It's not until they start getting older that things become fearful to them. And I feel that as children get older and they start learning and understanding fear and the things that people say are bad, you can't watch that. That's scary. Well, we tell a child that enough, then what are they going to become afraid of? Just by the face that they saw on the cover of a DVD box or an old VHS or an old movie poster or a commercial.
So,
It's they're going to be fearful and they're going to have that wall go up because they're protecting themselves.
so let's put this in perspective. I think mechanically, I'm a type of dude that can literally understand how an engine works because I think in pictures. So let's put this in pictures for me.
Okay.
You have a box, okay,
Right.
and in that box when you're a child, there's nothing in that box. It's just here's your box, okay, nothing
Right.
in there. This is you, and when you're a child, anything that enters that box is cool. You see it, right?
Right.
So when you get older, hold on, let me put the box down. There we go. Can you see the line? No, you can't. Crap. Anyway, there's a line on there. I trust me.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
All right, so you're older now. The box splits, and then you get a little bit older, and this is your mind, your brain, and your, how would we call this? Your window of perception. We'll say that. All right. So now you have a cross. Okay. So you have this filter now.
Right.
So here's my eye, here's my filter, right? So you're saying that when you're a child, you're innocent and you don't know any better and you can see these things. So what changes besides the filter, the things that we learn? Because and it's a hard question to ask. I'm super open to seeing ghosts. I have paranormal stuff happening all the time. G, Nicole, you do too. How do I ask this damn question? What changes besides our view and our belief system with life that
I know where you're going with this. I love this question.
you see what I'm saying? It's a hard
Yeah.
question to ask. I don't know how to ask it.
No, I know exactly. Okay, so like I think we can easily apply this back to like when I said that with my perception. With when I was little, I saw my great grandmother. Like I
Right.
was open. And then I started going through traumatic experiences in life, deaths, abuse. I went through abuse of different forms,
Right.
and my brain, to protect myself, started putting up walls subconsciously. Well, here I am. I just turned 43. My walls are finally coming back down because I'm healing, and in a lot of areas now, I would like to say I have healed. I feel as if I've healed. And so my perception is now opening back up because the self defense mechanism that, like I said, our body is great at protecting itself, especially the mind. On a subconscious level, the brain will do amazing things. It's almost like when you go into a coma, because your body is trying to protect you health wise, like trying to like heal itself. Even doctors now will put
Mm-hmm.
people into medically induced comas to try to encourage your body to heal. So I feel that things traumatically can happen to children as they get older. What if it's the divorce of their parents? Bam, their walls are up
Well,
because I think that there's different things that happen. Do I think that it happens to all children? Definitely not, because you see a lot of children out there that are, operating in their gifts because they're in loving homes with supportive parents, with supportive family members, with supportive friends, and they're able to operate. And then you've got people who might not have had the support. They might have gone through abuse, or they were told continuously, it's not real, it's a nightmare, it's all in your head, you're making it up. They were belittled. They were ridiculed for what they thought for what they knew they saw. They were told, no, you're not. You're basically crazy. And so they had to, they learned to start shutting that down and to shut that off, because they didn't want to go through that abuse in their home or in their environment that they lived within.
Hmm. So I can see that.
A step further. I was a mental health therapist for 7 years. I dealt with kids with severe abuse, neglect, trauma, and the brain has a insane way of protecting itself. But you said something earlier, Brie, that is so true. That if you can make it through your trauma, in order to understand something, the best people in the world have been through trauma. And if sometimes I feel like that's used, but no, if you come through that, you're a warrior. Come on, you've been through some of the toughest things in your life. And it also allows you and opens a door for you. I always say, to the kids, hey, they might have been through this, but if they can go past it and get over their Chucky doll, knives under the beds and stealing, let's try to light stuff on fire, stuff like that,
Yeah.
that, hey, we can get through this. And on the other end of it, you get a superpower from it, but your brain at 7 stops. So we learn from our environment just by even facial colors, everything. My whole theory, especially even going through college, and I've done grad school, and I did a lot of research on it, is that our brain patterns things out, and we know what's going to happen far before it's going to happen. Leading up to something, we already know what's going to happen. We just kind of see it in almost like a reverse fashion. It's kind of complicated, but when they cross that line at 7, then their prefrontal cortex and all that stuff starts to develop. So it really depends on the imprints that they have with them, and the generational. I don't know. Because it goes, it's one generation to another generation to another generation, so you have to factor that in also. But
it is
I get that perspective, it shuts down at that point.
It is generational, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, most definitely.
I believe in that. Yeah, I believe that it's generational, and I think it's different for each lineage, where you come from and what your line is. Mine, it seems to go straight through. It hasn't skipped anything. And the interesting thing though with me is it's always been the females, but it's not all the females. My mom has 2 sisters, and neither of them have what my mom had. My mom would have visions. She saw a lot of stuff happen. She saw the Oklahoma City bombing, I think the night before it happened. She would have visions. She saw me before I got hit by a car when I was a teenager. There was other things that she knew. She knew when she would die and how she would die. I don't know if I could live knowing that. How would you process that, knowing, okay, on this day, on this time? And she knew it, and she was like, it's between me and God to work that out, for me to push through, and it'll be okay. But it hit me, and I've got brothers that are twins, so of course they're kind of immune. But then I've got a 19-year-old son, an 18-year-old son, and they're both open, and they see and they hear and they feel. And then I've got a 7.5-year-old, and she's open. So the weird thing for me is that I'm the first generation where the boys have been brought into the line of having the gifts.
Yeah, my son has some of it too. He's seen so many UFOs. He couldn't even hide it. In the paranormal stuff, I hate to say it, but he's gone to Einberg Manor with me like
That's
a few times.
awesome.
You know, I'm like, man, you know, but he's curious, like he's learned, and it's impossible to keep it from him. But I always ask him, and he does see stuff, but his gig is that he believes, like, I feels like he can slow down time a little bit. So just it's kind of crazy how he talks about it, like sports or anything like that. He talks about how he can like zonally like slow down that time. And so that's like his little gift. So I think it's really cool, like how, you know, let kids explore, let them believe. You know, underneath all this stuff that they told us that we're not, when you get to the I am and you realize who you really are, you have so much more power than you could ever even possibly imagine. You know,
So,
it's endless.
so real quick, just to extrapolate on that, you hear all these people that are in contact with like extraterrestrials and stuff, and these extraterrestrials say, hey, like, we are not part of this physical 3D universe that you live in, but we have the ability to jump into this body and assume a different 3D image. And so that's what your son is doing right now, is saying, hey, I can have a chance to be like Link and Zelda. Okay, I'm a gamer too, guys. Don't do not judge me.
I think it's cool. I'm not judging. I love Zelda.
And this is all like before, like, you know, he even like really understood like growing up and stuff like that. So I think that's super awesome. When did yours start, Grant? Like, when did you start to become in tune like to all this?
Oh gosh, let's have this conversation later. But I was 5, and
5?
I was 5, and we don't have enough time right now, and I don't want to take away from Brie at all. So
right, I was just curious, like, how young it started.
Yeah, I was 5 with my first major experience, and that was a like legit. I wish I could have that same damn experience right now, because I have a lot of questions. When you're 5, you don't have crap. You have oh crap, or at that time,
or do you acceptance?
I did not have acceptance that day. Today I do. So today,
but didn't you really think as a child you just accepted it was there and didn't question? Okay,
no, it was super extraordinary. It was super scary, and I'll tell you about it later. It was my experience when I was 5 is completely abnormal to me in my lifetime. But I mean, there's a lot of people that have had this type of. Who cares? It doesn't matter. I'll tell you later. Anybody else that knows?
I just thought the question of you asking like how old, like, and that like when children shut that veil, or that veil, you know, drops down. So that's why I was curious. Like when that happened.
That's a good question, because mine didn't drop until I was in my teens. Actually, I never thought of it that way, because it opened and I had the dreams, and then I had the real life encounter. I had that throughout my teens, and it was when I was 21. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 22. I was 22 when it stopped, and it stopped for 6 years, 7 years, and then I had a couple more encounters when I was 30 and 31, and it stopped for quite a while, and just this year they started back up. So, and I'm 43. Man, you stumped me on this one. You got me, because now I'm looking at it, I don't know if it actually changes. I don't know that I ever saw a difference between my childhood and what happened to me in my experience. And hey, Brie, let me bring you in on this, because I mean, you're kind of in tune with this. Is this something that you can? How do I ask this? Children, do you talk to children? Do you listen to children's experiences? Just yes or no? Okay. So is there a point where you feel that it changes from being a childhood experience to an adult, because mine never changed. My thought process on it changes and how I look at it and perceive it.
I think
I
that
don't even know what I'm asking.
well, no, like for me, like I always joke around because I'm very I there's some people that like they tease me and it's all in love and it's all in jest. You know, I'm very childlike with this stuff. I have that open faith. I have that open mind. And when stuff happens, I giggle. I don't run screaming. I might jump a little, but I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Do you think we can have, do you think we can replicate that? I'm like, do it again. Like I'm such a little kid with it. So like I think it's all in how you're raised, in all honesty, and the environment that you're in. Um the encouragement that you have because and the experiences that you personally go through with the paranormal, regardless of what level of paranormal that is, from UFOs to cryptids to spirits. um I think that if you're in a loving environment and you're being told that your experience is being validated, that you're not being made to feel stupid, I think that you're going to have a better understanding of it as you get older. But it's going to be the same experience. I mean, you're going to be older, you're going to have a better understanding, you're going to have more, hopefully a better analytical perspective to better understand what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're witnessing, what you're experiencing. So I don't know, maybe I'm just the weird one in the group, but I
Welcome to the
I
club.
think it's just I think it's the same, but I think it's as I've gotten older, I've gotten a better understanding of it. But it's I mean, I haven't had a spirit come at me with a cattle prod yet, but I mean it's the same type of stuff that I'm continuously having. I'm having I'm hearing conversations, I'm being touched, I'm having my hair played with, I'm seeing apparitions. It's the same type of stuff since I was 6, but now that I'm older, I have a better grasp on it. And now that my walls are coming down and I'm able to see, hear, and feel more, I'm it's the same stuff, but I've got a better comprehension of what's going on with it.
Mm. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Brie. Let me ask you this. So, we're under the understanding here that I have the obvious shadow person that we saw in the photograph, right? So
Hmm.
that's here. And, but it's been a while since, I'd say probably 6 months before that picture, roughly. Um, we would hear right above where I'm at now, would hear like someone with boots, literally, like no mistaking, walking on the roof, just walking do like somebody working up on the roof. So is what for just for me. So say I want to uh reach out essentially to whatever this thing is. What steps would a person like myself take in order to do that? And would I even want to do that?
I come from the full belief that you never investigate your own home.
Mm,
Because if it's not bothering you, why would you want to possibly
yeah, I really
provoke
don't.
it into maybe being a more active situation? Um, I I think that if it was not your home and it was a different location, like say you were going to a haunted location and you wanted to try to communicate effectively,
Mm,
um, I start small with I know a lot of people hate the K2 meter. I get amazing results for whatever reason with the K2 once I'm able to make sure that I've got a clear EMF field and that I'm going to get the correct responses. I've had my K2 respond, the spirit I was talking to responded only to me, no men. And I was getting it to spike all the way to red consistently and hold red for up to 30 seconds, which I hadn't seen really anywhere else. But you can ask yes or no questions. You can ask. little things. If you want to get more in depth, you can use an EVP recorder, like a DR60, and do EVP burst where you ask a question and you're going to want to wait at least, I like to give at least 15 to 20 seconds in between my questions. So that way you're giving the entity a chance to respond and you're not losing their answer underneath your voice with the next question. You can even take it farther with trip lights. You know, if you're here, can you make the light go off? Like cat balls. You can buy light up cat balls on Amazon. I mean, there's different ways that you can communicate and keep it friendly in nature. You never want to be combative or provoking. Yeah, and you always want to set your boundaries. You know, you want to set boundaries on touching. You want to set boundaries on, okay, when I get up and leave, you can't come with me. So,
Okay.
yeah, that they can and can't come into your car. They can and can't come into your home. I mean, I carry a bottle. I've got a small little bottle of anointing oil I keep with me, and I'll anoint my car and myself at times if I feel like there might be something that's lingering that needs to go back to where it came from, you know. But definitely don't investigate your own home. Like you don't know. I mean, it could be, maybe it was somebody who worked on roofs that lit, you know. I mean, there's so many possibilities to your situation that if it's non-combative, if it's a non-threatening, if it's not terrorizing your house, why not just let it walk on the roof, you know, or walk, you know, like if it's not causing an issue, I would let it go. But
I'm fine with that answer right there, because I tell you what, this thing, it literally sounded like people were walking around in the attic. Like I literally questioned if someone was sleeping up there during the night, like someone sneaking in. I mean, this is how prevalent this was. But to hear what you're saying, and then you see the shadow, right? But to hear what you're saying, it hasn't messed with me technically, so I won't mess with it, right? So, and I'm with that, and I understand that, and I can leave that be. But I'm this is there's something that's here, and that's for sure. You know what I mean? So yeah, I won't. I won't reach out. I have enough friends. I have friends here at Spaced Out Radio. I don't need to make any brand new friends. So yeah, with that being said, we're coming to the end here. It was actually a really quick 3 hours. I mean, we have like 2-3 minutes left in the show. Do you have any last thing? Well, where can everybody find you? Let's talk about your social media.
Okay. I'm across all platforms. You can actually find me on YouTube under Brie Hollingshead. Same name on Facebook. I'm on TikTok at Breeze Baby Brie. And the breeze is like a breeze that goes through your house. So you're gonna find me there under that. You're also gonna find me on, well, I'm used to saying Twitter, but X. You're gonna find me there at Breeze Baby Brie. Instagram and Threads, it's gonna be _beautiful deliverance_.
Nice. The audience loved you, so I mean that's a fact. So I hope you guys took that information down, because Bree, just like the paranormal Pixie pointed out multiple times tonight, that herself being a paranormal, that Bree is on top of her stuff, and Bree knows what she's talking about. So we're dealing with the real deal here. We're dealing with the real deal. So I'm gonna take your advice, Bree, and Grant, Coley. Do you guys have anything else to say?
No, I really appreciate Brie you coming on. So I look forward to keeping in contact with you. So
yes,
but I'll pass it over to Grant. Yeah, thank you so much.
I was gonna say the same thing, and then
we'll get out of my head.
this girl up here stole all of my words.
Your shine,
so, yeah. She's on top of me right now. She's got all my words, everything.
Literally,
right. So anything that I have to say, just look up.
I'm the interpreter for the brain down here.
Your channeler, yeah. Yeah. So with that being said, I mean, it was a pleasure, Bree. We got to have you back, and we'll talk about some stuff. And if I have any more situations over here at the house, I'm gonna reach out to you, because
Yeah, feel free.
I know you know what you're talking about, and I'd rather hear it from you. So I'll be doing that. But with that being said, as we prepare to bring this show to a close, I want to thank all the super chatters out there, which was the Debster times 2, and Debster and Skinny Bob. Debster and Skinny Bob times 2.
Skinny Bob, yeah.
Lord William times 2. Shelly Montgomery and Mike Rivers. So with that being said, just like we've been saying all show long, for all the space travelers out there, consider taking the next step and joining the club. That's right. You can join our Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers Club for as little as $5, $5 by joining our Patreon. We appreciate your support. To all the viewers and listeners across the globe, thanks for tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. And what's that, you ask?
We own the night.
All right, love it. We own the night. You guys have a good night. And check it out over at the Social Dig Live call-in. Let's go.